I strike down those who have
But
fallen
yeah,
and entered the path of reversal. Undead were targets that must be punished by priests or those devoted to gods.
yeah, look at this.
Odin
I
moved
done made. I
forward,
feel like I'm
clasping
making
his
the
palms
Azula.
to his chest, then spreading his arms to the
Well,
sides.
a better Azula.
Boom,
I'm finna make it.
boom. A rusty sword swung at Odin, who dodged with a half-step, the sword slicing through the air. From the side, a rusty spear thrust toward him. To an average
Tell me when
soldier,
you
this
on
might
the
have been
Joker.
a dangerous moment, but not for Odin. He
Yeah.
grabbed the spear's shaft mid-air. At the same time, he swung his fist like a hammer, vertically, to the skull of the one who wielded the sword. Whoosh! Crack! Snap!
Yeah.
With one
I told you
blow,
it wouldn't. It wouldn't let
split the
me.
skull in two.
It wouldn't let me.
He grabbed the
What you
opposing
call?
spear and lifted its owner into the air before smashing him down. Crash! With a loud noise, the entire body of one skeleton shattered. These bastards! Odin's eyes glinted with intensity. There was
Shit.
no
What is
need
my
for
shit?
Ingrid to step in.
Kingdom
In
Gaming.
the blink of an eye, the 7 skeletons were wiped out.
Feel like I made
There's more
Azula
inside.
decently well.
Jackson, with his keen senses, spoke. Encred
Probably
felt
not, but
something
yeah.
similar. It was a
It's
sensation
weird.
reminiscent of when they had encountered magical traps before. Along with the ominous feeling, there was a strangely irritating smell in the air. Burnt smell.
Like, is that a fucking
Another
bone? It's teeth.
skeleton appeared
It's teeth.
before the group. It was holding a trident, and its body was burning. Whoosh! Even from more than 10 steps away, the heat wave hit them. The intense warmth could be felt, and it made their skin feel hot. If they stayed a little longer, sweat would start to pour. A burning skeleton? Ren muttered. It was exactly that. Undead don't feel pain, so this was possible. It was a monster under the effect of an unquenchable fire spell, its entire body burning.
Big.
The
They
wild
just started
horse
it.
cried out when they saw the creature. It seemed to be saying that this was the reason it was coming. I know that was true.
Make a second character
The
later.
wild horse was the master of its land. The horse was reflecting on the past, specifically the threats it had faced when the land had collapsed. The wild horse had a duty to protect its herd.
Okay, can I put
That's
this
why it had
in
to
this time?
eliminate
There you
this
go.
threat. Despite deciding to leave, the horse knew what it had to do, and it had come to
Drunken
ask if he would
precision.
help. Chapter 251. Unexpected fortune to the wild horse. The flaming skeleton was an unmanageable threat. That was why it sought help. And now, as fate would
Drunken
have it,
precision.
the flaming skeleton was out of luck. Whoosh! A trident engulfed in flames in hand, with
The
skeletal
fuck do
hounds
you
and
mean?
soldiers
Name already
lined up behind
taken.
it. 13 in total. 12, if the flaming skeleton itself wasn't counted. Corrupt and twisted. This was part of their misfortune.
You know
There was a
this
devout
this
soldier
might
who
be
couldn't help but react
racist, but
violently at the sight of undead.
what you mean invalid characters?
Whoosh! The flaming
I can't put a
trident
space in
came
it.
down, and
I
Odin
can't put
deflected
space.
it with his palm. Flames briefly licked his hand, but Odin swung his arm in the air. Whoosh! The
Well,
sound of wind
that
accompanied
name's
his
taken.
swing, and the fire on his hand extinguished, vanishing into thin air. It wasn't magic, but rather a feat of physical
Yeah.
power and speed.
Right.
After diverting the flaming trident, Odin began smashing
Wait a
the
minute,
approaching
wait a
skeletons.
minute.
A
I'm gonna do
single
this.
punch turned a skeleton's skull into shattered fragments. The skull broke into roughly 16 pieces, scattering everywhere. That brute. Even Ren was impressed by Odin's skill at extinguishing flames.
What about the
Odin continued
Japanese
to crush
name?
every skeleton he
Yeah.
encountered. He smashed skulls, shattered ribs, and even grabbed a skeleton soldier's spine, ripping it out and swinging it like a club to destroy a skeletal hound's skull. The flaming skeleton raised its trident high, aiming for Odin's back. Ragnar, who had been observing, suddenly stepped forward. With a single step, he unsheathed his sword and twisted his waist to swing. A mid-sword draw slash. Ragnar's blade sliced cleanly through the skeleton's neck. Its severed head fell to the ground, and as it fell, the flames around it disappeared. What remained was a charred, blackened skull rolling amidst vines and short grass. The skull came to rest against a jagged rock. Even without its head, the flaming skeleton continued to flail its its arms and legs. What a nuisance. Ren stepped forward, using his axe to dismantle the flaming skeleton's limbs. He chopped, kicked, and broke it apart. The skeleton resisted, swinging its trident in a wide arc, as if in defiance. Despite being mere bones, its strength was formidable. Ren dodged the swings with a slight tilt of his head, then swung his axe
Hold
upward
on,
from
I
below.
got
The
to.
axe blade
I'm
gleamed
looking for
as it
the
severed
female
skeleton's
thing of the
lower
black
lobe,
dragon, but it
sending the
won't
trident
show me
flying
one.
through the air. The
So
trident
there you go.
spun wildly, scattering inwards.
Anybody taking this?
Ingrid shielded
This
the trident
Japanese.
from the flying sparks with the back of his hand, but instinctively reached out. The trident was falling straight toward him. He had two choices.
I'll be hurt if somebody got this.
The trident seemed to carry a will of its own, as if intentionally flying toward him. Trusting his intuition,
Fuck!
Ingrid chose not to dodge and caught it. If it became too hot, he could always drop it or throw it away. He was confident he could do all this in an instant. Noticing that the flames on the trident didn't spread to the surroundings, he calculated that the fire wasn't the kind to burn indiscriminately. Of course, all these calculations were instinctual. Relying on his gut, Ingrid grabbed the trident without hesitation.
I wonder.
But surprisingly, it wasn't as hot as he expected. It wasn't scalding enough to make him drop it.
Damn.
Instead of heat, he heard a voice.
They got all my shit.
Turn to ash, be consumed by fire, die in flames. In an instant, the life of a man bound to a cross-shaped stake and burned to death flashed through his mind. A man had
Did everybody just go down the dragon route?
accused of practicing magic. There had been betrayal by ignorant villagers and a lord who orchestrated it all. Was it a curse? No, it was something slightly different. It's similar to the sword Fell wields, Ingrid thought. It was a lingering grudge.
Somewhat.
That grudge had been
Talk.
infused into the weapon. A grudge that led to death transformed into human will. It resembled the concept of
You know
will.
me.
Ingrid
Fuck it, I'm going with
reflected
this.
on the man's life, accepted his will, and rejected it. He refused to burn to death. The trident's curse dissipated, its grudge vanishing completely. Through sheer strength of will, the trident had been purified.
Yeah. Well, my name finna give away my whole build.
It was as if it had been dunked in cold water.
At least I hope I can make this build.
Steam rose from
You
it.
promised we'd go to the general
I said,
Then you fell
my name finna give away my whole build if I can make it.
What on
Man
earth
in
was
black.
happening? Auden was the only one who understood.
But let me be the black dragon, so fuck it.
Where is he?
I'm finna burn shit to the ground.
He recognized that the weapon was
Took the
forged
big
from
bandit.
deep grudges and
But he
resentment.
didn't hurt me.
He also understood that the flames seemingly
Hey,
engulfing the skeleton
Were you even listening?
originated from the
No.
weapon
I
itself.
mean it. I'm
Auden
getting
had
mad.
intended to both subdue and purify it.
Ruby,
Knowing it
were you
would
hitting
require
me?
him to
I
endure
didn't
immense
want
pain,
to. I
due to
yelled
the
and yelled to
divine
wake you
energy
up,
he would have to
but you went in bed.
Using divine power came with excruciating agony.
You said there was a man in black?
Forget it.
So, like,
It's
where
nothing.
is he?
But the weapon was too
Just a dream.
dangerous to
You
leave
promised
unattended.
we'd journey
I
together.
might pass out, he
You're not
thought.
keeping secrets, are you?
Purifying such a strong grudge
You don't
might
tell me.
indeed take
I
a
won't
toll
talk
on
to you
him.
again.
And
All
enduring
right.
pain
Weren't you
was
going to
not
buy
something
stuff from Beer
entirely
Guang at
within
General
his
Shrine?
control.
Are we still
The
going or
ones
not?
who imposed the restriction on Auden
I
had
almost
intended
forgot.
to render
It's all
him
your fault.
completely
Come on, let's
incapable
go.
of using
Uncle Guang
divine
said he's
power.
bringing me a new
But
storybook
Auden had
this year.
chosen to
Can you
defy
wait for me just a little?
So
I need to go inside
he
and
had
check
resigned
something.
himself to the potential
Don't take too
consequences,
long, all right?
even if it meant fainting. In the meantime, he focused on handling other malevolent
I wonder
threats
if
first.
that man in black
Yet,
left any clues
before he could
behind.
act, Ingrid grabbed the trident, and the flames abruptly extinguished with a whoosh. By then, the entire horde of skeletons had been dealt with. Teresa crushed a skull lying on the ground with her foot. The sound of bones crunching echoed in the sudden silence. Even the wild horse fell quiet, observing the scene. Amidst this stillness, it was Ren's voice that broke the silence.
Where are you going?
Got sweaty
Didn't we say
palms,
we'd buy
huh?
the storybook at the
Putting out
general's shrine?
flames with sweat from his hands. A ridiculous notion. Sometimes your brain astounds me to no end, Jackson commented with a hint of disbelief. As someone familiar with cursed artifacts, he couldn't see this outcome as normal. What are you rambling about, you mad lynx? Ren turned to Ingrid with a questioning look, silently demanding an explanation. It said it wanted to burn me alive, so I said no. Was that an explanation? Seriously? Rem's incredulous expression sought confirmation from the others. Ragnar showed no interest, while Auden, already grasping the underlying principle, simply marveled. How long has it been since he discovered will? And he's already this proficient. Auden couldn't help but be impressed. Well, it worked out, didn't it? Jackson remarked lightly. After all, when had anything Incred done ever been normal? Among this group, Jackson was the only one who could claim to be remotely ordinary. Damn, Rem muttered, grabbing the trident. Let me see that. The lingering resentment within the trident reacted to Liam, attacking him with the same fiery curse. Burned
The
to death.
symbol.
Unlike with Incred,
Whoa!
it didn't
Is that
show
a
him
secret
any
code?
visuals, merely
This is
striking
some
with its
hero
remaining
meetup
knowledge.
spot, isn't
But
it?
it was weak.
We're gonna see
A
one
mere
for
remnant
real.
of
The man in
defiance.
black took the jade
For
pendant
a
Uncle
moment,
Jiang gave me.
flames seemed to flicker
Maybe.
in Ren's grasp
This
before
has
they
something to
abruptly
do with
fizzled
Uncle
out.
Jiang.
Huh?
I
Auden
should
was
look
surprised
inside.
again.
What you
This
looking for?
time,
I'll help.
it wasn't sheer willpower suppressing the
So much
curse.
dust.
Looks like someone tampered with it. Can I use
Is
this?
that a
Ren muttered,
spear?
inspecting the weapon
Look!
with a knowing
There's a spear!
expression.
A real
Incred didn't
one!
ask for
Careful.
details. What would be the point?
They even
Sure,
dug this up.
he replied indifferently. Having no particular attachment to weapons, Incred
That
watched
looks
as Ren
so
examined the trident
cool.
carefully
Show me,
before
show me.
chopping
Sharp
it
and
in half
heavy.
with her axe.
You could
Oh,
hurt yourself.
I'm about to stab a nigga.
The
Just
weapon's handle
let me
was
hold
reduced
it.
to half
Just
its
once,
original length.
please.
Now it
Come
resembled a
on,
hand axe,
or I won't talk to you
except
anymore.
for the sharp, spike-like tip at the end. While its weight
I'm
distribution
telling
was
Auntie
correct,
Han, and you won't get to go to the first jar banquet. You'll miss
if I
your
added a
big
counterweight to the
announcement.
end of the handle, it'll work.
Hey, don't wander
Ren
too far.
nodded in agreement
I'll
with
check
Incred's
inside and be right back.
suggestion, appearing quite pleased with her modification. Feels like I just hit the jackpot. He expressed her satisfaction, and Incred nodded in silent agreement. To reiterate, the skeletons here were truly unfortunate. Who were these people gathered here? The Madmen Unit, a group of brutal individuals capable of altering the course of any battlefield. Incred sheathed his sword with a shing and turned to the horse. Is that all?
Did I not put this on minimum?
I hadn't noticed that before.
The skeletons
letter
had
to
been a
Uncle
major
Jiang?
threat. Then
From
again,
someone named Wei.
this was the same human who had plunged a blade into the skull of that fearsome centaur. The horse eventually nodded.
Dream
his
Puppet
suggestion.
Calamity.
Hey! It let out a cry of joy. Good. Well, Incred moved forward, scanning the area. Whose graveyard was this? It didn't seem to belong to the impoverished. That much was clear. So, what was it? The flaming trident and
Telling
skeletons
Uncle
couldn't
Jiang to find
possibly
Tian
be all there
Ying?
was. Due to
But
the
he never
skeletons
mentioned
and
the
wild
person who wrote
horses,
this letter.
there were no
or
signs
Tian
of
Ying
brave
either.
robbers having visited. Should
I'll
we
keep
dig?
it with me.
Incred suggested
It might
digging
hold a
around the
clue
area,
to Uncle Jiang's
particularly
whereabouts.
near what appeared to be
Looks
remnants
like
of
someone has
wolves.
moved the spirit
There are a
tablet.
few chests inside, Jackson replied. So that's what
The
Jackson
man in
had
black
been up
just
to
took the
while
jade
avoiding
pendant
the
and didn't
fight,
hurt me.
scouting the area.
He also left
Typical
some kind of
sneaky wildcat,
carved mark.
Rem remarked. How
Could this be
crazy.
connected to Uncle
Jackson
Jiang?
ignored him as usual.
No
and
use
the group
guessing.
began heading
I better ask
inside.
Aunt Han once I
The
return.
terrain was rough, likely from rain
Aunt Han said she had
eroding
important news to share at the first jar banquet. Could it be about Uncle Jiang?
Protruding from the ground resembled natural.
Look it up.
Not that any
Will
of it
Uncle
posed a
Jiang come back
problem
for the
this
first
group.
jar banquet?
Let me show you something interesting. Ren paused mid-stride and swung his axe at the air. Whoosh. First from top to bottom,
Oh, there is a
then a
teleport.
second swing upward.
I'm not
The
talking
second
to you.
swing was
I'm
different.
still mad.
Whoosh. Flames ignited along the blade of the axe. Fire axe
Come
red.
on, nothing to
How
see
does that
here.
sound?
Let's head home.
My new nickname?
Oh, we
Fiddling
went
with it for a
through
while.
all that trouble
It
to
seems he
sneak
had
out,
figured out how
and
to
we're
use
going
it.
back already?
Sure.
Are you
Incred
trying to
nodded
trick me
calmly.
so that
If he
you can
fought with
find
that
that
thing,
warrior in
He'd
black on your
probably go from
own?
being a
There's
crazy
no man in
axeman to a
black.
crazy
I was
fire
dreaming
axeman.
just now.
Of course
You know
he
I'd
didn't
never
say
lie
it
to you.
aloud.
You
People
do
always
too,
needed
lie.
some
You
encouragement
promised
after
you'd
all.
come with me to
Huh,
the
I
general's
liked it.
shrine to get the
I
new
liked it a lot.
storybook from Beer
As long
Guam.
as he was satisfied.
Now
Look,
That was what
no
mattered.
heroes.
The group ignored
and
him
no
and continued
storybooks.
deeper into the
If I
basement.
knew this would
The terrain
happen,
gradually
I'd
became
have gone
easier
on my
to walk
own and not
on,
covered for you
leading
with
them to
Auntie
a stable
Han.
plain.
How about this?
At the innermost
We have
point,
to pass the
the
General
ground
Shrine
leveled
on the
out
way back
entirely.
anyway.
A faint,
I'll take you
warm
there to wait for the
breeze blew
caravan,
from
so you'll be the
somewhere,
first in line
and
to
they
buy
saw
the
a
new
partially
storybook.
open chest.
All right?
Gentle warmth
Really?
emanated from
All right,
within.
let's go
Powerful
now.
stone,
Right now.
the sun
You're
god's
the
blessing.
best.
Oh Lord, Odin murmured.
What's this big announcement
Tancred
Auntie Han
concluded
is
that
going to
whoever had
make?
built this tomb
No idea.
had an excess of gold.
Maybe she'll
to
grant me
spare.
permission to learn
Pack it
martial
all
arts
up.
in the Jianghu.
Tancred issued the order.
Then you've got to bring me
Inside
along.
the chest, there wasn't a single silver coin, only gold. Alongside the coins
Where are
were
you going?
artifacts worthy of the
Didn't we
name.
say we'd buy the
To
storybook
start,
at the General's
There
Shrine?
was the thermal
You're
stone
back.
referred
Let's
to
get
as the
going.
sun god's blessing, and a peculiar bandage that felt like metallic fabric. These are rare items, Jackson remarked. Coming from him, a man who typically reacted with indifference unless handling an assassin's custom-forged dagger, it was high praise, meaning it truly was a precious item. Ancred examined the
That don't even look okay.
Ruby,
It
go
was
easy.
about the width of
Don't
a
jump.
palm and not too long in length. Enough to wrap tightly around the torso if necessary. This is made from the hide of a
I made the
soft
bridge
wild
fall
beast,
down.
treated through a special process
How will you get over
designed
here?
to be worn as an inner garment. Think of it as a kind of underarm,
You can do that?
Jackson explained.
Then I can do it
Apart from
too.
that,
Sure you
wasn't
can,
anything
Heroine Ruby.
particularly
But we need to head to the General
noteworthy.
Shrine
Golden
today.
stone was
Next
discovered.
time.
But since they all
Tomorrow,
had
at the
excellent
first
night
Jar
vision,
Banquet,
it
I'll
didn't draw
perform
much
this
attention.
as the grand finale.
Damaged boots
I'll
and
jump
gloves
up to
were among the
top
other
and
items,
let
as well
everyone
as a few
see.
jewels and a journal. The contents of the journal were unremarkable, filled with fanciful tales of flying on a Pegasus and other implausible
It
adventures.
looks
What
kind
the
of
The writer had
strange,
settled in this
but
land,
pretty.
citing
It
it
has
as
to be a
some
heavenly
found
treasure.
friend.
That's what all
The
the
journal
storybooks say.
concluded with lines that suggested a life without roots, endlessly
Good
wandering
one,
without
dude.
home.
These
The name was
butterflies.
scrawled at the
They're
end,
not gonna
but
land
then
on my
scratched out
face,
with
right?
charcoal. Incrid felt that the person buried here, the author of the journal, had expressed their
Did you
fulfillment
get
through
it?
that act
I
of
bet it's
donation.
worth a
The
fortune.
journal was filled with words that exuded a sense of achievement, marveling at the wonders of the world and the thrill of exploration. Ancrid found himself recognizing a kindred spirit in those words, a dreamer in pursuit of their aspirations. However, this person had achieved their goal, found satisfaction, and chosen to settle in their friend's hometown. By erasing their name, they signified the end of their journey, a life fulfilled. Is that romantic or just foolish? Romanticism and naivety often walked a fine line, after all. A swordsmanship instructor had once said something
The
similar.
birds are so
Ancrid
pretty.
allowed himself a
Can
moment
we
of
take one of
reflection,
them home with us?
drawing a parallel to
Not in
his
a
own
rush to
life.
get your storybook
But
now,
it was
huh?
just a fleeting thought,
What was that?
unimportant
Oh,
in the
damn.
grand scheme of things. The journal was kept.
Look over there.
It struck a chord with him. Meanwhile, Jackson inspected the surrounding walls and mechanisms, but found no hidden features. There had been a time when he found himself trapped in such a place, and obtained his current sword. But here, the sky above was open and unobstructed. The unusual layout suggested it had been intentionally designed to reveal the sky, even before the ground had collapsed. Perhaps this was why the
Doesn't increase
chests and other
strongly.
contents had
Arrow
remained
accuracy
so well
is also
preserved.
yet to be determined.
Nay,
I'll have to
the
test them
horse
one by
approached,
one.
and Incrid placed a
Oh, you
hand on
have.
its forehead.
Practically
All
two birds
done
with one
here,
arrow.
The sun
Nearly
was now
struck us
setting,
both on the head.
casting long shadows.
Two birds
Thanks
with
to the
one
thermal
arrow.
stone, the air wasn't
Oh,
cold.
my
It seemed
apologies.
this resting
I
place
didn't
had
hurt
been
you, did I?
designed as a refuge,
So, who
with warmth
are you
emanating
then?
not only from
What
the
are you
thermal
doing shooting
stone,
birds in
but
Singha?
also
The
from
name's
the
Bong
remnants of
Jisha,
the fiery
disciple of the
skeletons.
Inkbound Order.
Jackson
And
pointed
I'm
out
here in
strange
Singha on official
symbols
business.
carved on the wall.
I merely wanted to try out my new
They
They don't
bow and
pronounce the Q like I thought.
I didn't expect.
Recalling the journal. The journal even explained the creation of the
Bound
skeleton.
order.
Every adventure needs its challenges.
Wow!
Whoever
It's one of
finds
those
this place
big
should
name
at least
sets, isn't it?
overcome this much.
Are
Then
you a
enjoy my
legendary
inheritance.
Jianghu
As
hero?
far as
Hey,
inheritance
Mr.
went,
Hero.
it was nothing
Lots of
extraordinary.
swordsmen have come to
Expensive,
Singha lately.
high-quality
Are
items,
you
sure,
all after
Incrid
some
thought.
sort of
But
treasure?
where's the
Or
legendary
some secret
artifact of
martial
holy
arts
relic?
book?
According to the journal,
Well,
the rest
the
of the
Inkbound
adventurous
Order is
possessions
indeed well
have been
known.
scattered across
But
the
I am
continent,
merely a humble
given away
disciple,
here and there.
far from worthy of being called a
And
hero.
apparently this wasn't
Sorry to
their
disappoint
only
you, young
tomb.
lady.
If you're a true
So,
explorer,
you're not a
find my
big
other
hero
tombs
after
too.
all.
A strange man indeed.
Should've
But
known.
Ingrid couldn't help
What
but
kind
feel
of
his
hero
heart
would be
race
that
at the
bad
thought
with
of
a
such a
bow and
passionate pursuit
arrow?
of a dream.
It's fine.
It was
We weren't hurt.
exhilarating. We'll
We
rest
should get
here
going
tonight
now.
and return
Just
tomorrow.
be more careful when taking
The
test
tomb
shots
serves
next
well
time.
as a resting
Wait!
place.
Master
Its
said the noble are never at
unseasonable
fault,
warmth seemed to
because they
encourage
always make up for their mistakes.
The horse deserved some time to part
I
with
have
its
a
coat.
manuscript on archery
Sounds
techniques,
good.
a secret
Reverend
tome
Reed,
of sorts.
seeming content.
Please,
In
accept
his
it as
left
my
hand was
apology.
the fire axe. In his right, the thermal stone. The thermal bandage was also
Archery
a valuable item.
tips?
But
Yes.
just that single stone
A
could
bit
form an
embarrassing to
entire
admit,
thing.
but this book
A
represents
high-ranking
years
noble
of
would pay a
painstaking
fortune
study.
for it. But none of them
Especially
were
Chapter 3,
particularly
which
concerned
explores
about
how
money.
applied force
Ingrid had
influences
simply
shooting range
handed the
when the
stone
second
to
phalanx
Ragnar,
is used to draw.
knowing how
And here,
susceptible he was to
look
the
at this.
Ragnar
That
remained
completely
disinterested.
lost me.
Auden began his prayers,
Wait,
and Jackson
did
sat
he just
silently with his
say-
eyes closed.
Is
Teresa
that a
and
secret
Dunbaker
book?
were equally
Oh
indifferent to
wow,
financial
it
matters.
is a secret book!
Their thoughts
You've
were
gotta take
preoccupied
it!
with their
I spent
transformed
years on
lives
this,
and
and you're simply
uncertain
giving it to
futures.
us?
Night
That's
fell,
far too great an apology.
and without a
Disciples of the
campfire, they lay
Inkbound
beneath
Order
the
are
open
prohibited
sky.
from attachment to material
Starlight poured
possessions.
into the tomb,
Go ahead
creating
and read
a
it.
breathtakingly
If there's
surreal
anything you
scene.
don't understand,
It was
I'd
a
be
night
happy to
unlike
explain.
any Ingrid had ever seen. Lying under a blanket of stars,
Yeah.
he felt the subtle warmth envelop him as he closed his
This
eyes.
technique is called
In his
Still
dreams,
Waters.
he met the ferryman
Master
once
it
again.
to achieve perfect
And always,
stillness
the
and
ferryman
expose
mocked
your
him,
prey's
lacing
weakness.
his words
What
with biting
amazing
sarcasm.
skill!
You really do
Can you
keep
hear
a
me?
company of fools around. Ingrid
Yeah,
wondered
well,
if that
yeah.
was meant as a compliment. The dream was fleeting.
Yeah.
Chapter 252. The horse thought this to itself. After Encred and his group departed,
Oh, yeah.
Torres heard a
Yeah.
feral scream echoing from the forest. Shouldn't we send reinforcements? A clueless soldier asked. Kyle 1, a guard standing nearby, responded in his stead. Reinforcements? Those 4 could probably roast an entire domain for breakfast. Io 1, a swordsman.
This
with
is my
strong
first
pride
time passing-
stemming from his northern roots.
Shall we shoot at the
Spoke
birds by
with
the clifton?
certainty. Even Torres agreed
Okay.
with his assessment. Leave
Ready?
them be. They'll handle it. Who was really supposed to worry about whom? Torres instructed his soldiers to gather central timber and attack beast
Release
hides
at the right
while
moment.
the remaining corpses were burned. How many have we lost? Several
Yeah.
dozen had died in the previous battles, and Horace
Oh,
himself had narrowly escaped death during the first skirmish.
Hell no.
Shimmer had nearly been killed as well. It had been a crisis of immense proportions, one where Torres had even considered desertion. He had voiced his concerns.
Damn, I suck.
Lord Commander,
Really
no
something.
matter.
I knew
If
you
we
had
stay here,
potential.
barricading ourselves inside the castle won't hold. Fortress had towers.
You might at some point.
If it wasn't for Harrow and Ruby's help, we
Might
might
come
have
around
actually
one day.
lost.
Wooden clubs tearing trees apart to forge their
That's
weapons.
true.
The
You
walls
agree,
shook
right,
relentlessly.
Big Son?
What if the reinforcements didn't arrive? And if we abandon the wall? Do you have a solution? The lord of the castle had asked, challenging him. Torres had none. Outside was even
After sparring
deadlier.
with you,
The creatures
I've gained
sent
even
ours
more
by name
insights into
were
archery
relentless.
research.
Thanks to your
Evading them
instruction,
was
my
harder
skill with the
than
bow
holding
has
the wall.
advanced greatly.
Trapped on all
Actually,
sides.
I heard
All
that
they
many
could do was
unsavory
send out a
characters have
request
also come
for
to Qingha.
reinforcements. This
Even
sent
that
our
dreaded
colony,
Killer Blade.
led by an extraordinary leader,
Ah,
inspired by
I
deep
see.
terror.
All
When
these
its
great
leader
heroes
howled,
have gathered in
soldiers
Qingha
fought.
to bring
Some
that
even
villain to
wept
justice.
themselves. This seemingly
Anyway,
hopeless situation
that villain heading
had
south
been
can't be
resolved
for
by
nothing.
fewer than 10
Countless
people.
have fallen by his blade.
Whoosh.
Young miss,
Crackle.
do not place your trust lightly in
Crackle.
strangers.
Among the carnage of beasts
Oh,
and
don't
monsters,
worry. After
there were
all,
3
he's no
casualties.
hero.
One soldier had misstepped and been crushed
Where
under
are
a
the
beast's
great
foot.
heroes?
2 others, eager to
Killer
demonstrate
Blade.
the bravery of the beast,
Maybe the man in
charged
black has
ahead
something to do with
recklessly
him.
and met their end. Only
Right
3
now,
dead.
all we
The
can do
number
is
of
be on our
beasts and
guard.
monsters slain?
Look,
Too
the
many
Erguang
to
and the
count.
others. My
Over
storybook.
200 at the very least.
I'm coming!
The Madman unit
Hey,
wasn't
be
solely
careful.
responsible for this staggering
I'm gonna be
victory.
first in line
They
to
were the
buy it.
cutting edge of the assault, shredding through the enemy like a singular, devastating blade. But the remaining monsters had been dispatched by the rest of the soldiers. The sky was overcast, threatening snow. After a grueling day of cleaning up the battlefield and taking brief, restless naps, Torres, while wandering, spotted the returning group passing through the fortress gates. It was drizzling. Soon
Thank
to
you for
turn
warning
into
me about
sleet
Killer
with the
Blade,
dropping
Big Fung.
temperature.
Where wins meet.
Until next
Having risen
time.
early to oversee the aftermath of the battle, Torres could finally smile. It was a day
Where
to be
wins
thankful
meet.
for
Oh
survival,
well, that's a
and
dead
to
nigga.
rejoice in victory.
Things have definitely been
Said
hard
what?
in Singho lately.
Anchorage and the
And Aunt
Madman
Han
unit
just keeps saying
walked in
everything
with
can
a
wait
hazy
until the first
sunrise.
jar banquet.
I think it got a skill
The
tree.
heat of battle had long dissipated,
Yeah.
but their presence still
Okay,
carried
hold
the
on.
weight of the Silent Storm.
How the fuck I do this shit?
Someone murmured, breaking the stillness.
So we got
Soldiers
shit
by
like
the
this,
gates
right?
repeated the phrase louder. And soon the crowd joined in a thunderous chant.
It's like different knowledge shit. It's not really skill trees. It's just more or less you get to construct your own shit for it.
Mary. Thank you. Relief, victory, and admiration for the overwhelming power displayed combined in a raucous cheer. As the drizzle turned to
Yeah,
frost,
essentially.
Torres watched Incrid's approach. Behind him trailed a wild horse,
Yeah.
emanating a strange energy, and his team carried crates and the glaive of the colony leader, which now rested in Rem's hands. But none of that mattered.
Am I
Torres
missing something?
straightened, placed his
There's
feet
two
together,
need to do
and pressed
some
a
more
hand
shit.
to his waist in a salute. Bowing his head, he expressed his
Bang,
gratitude
bang.
for their salvation
Nah,
and
but
defense of the castle. Ancrid acknowledged him with a mere nod before walking past. Behind him, Rem spoke up. Hey, now any decent blacksmiths? There's a dwarf working near the outskirts of the market. Great. Rem walked on, followed by the rest of the unit, who paid no heed to the cheers that echoed around them. The raucous gratitude of the soldiers couldn't hold them back. They said there's a dwarf, a master of metallurgy, smelting, crafting, and skill, renowned as the epitome of artisanship. Of course, not every dwarf is a master blacksmith. Elves have their own superior metallurgy, and among humans, there are exceptional craftsmen as well. However, on average, dwarves are known for their superior and fundamentally exceptional smithing and metallurgy skills. So when a dwarf wandered into a human domain, it naturally piqued interest, especially when such a craftsman was
this
currently needed.
resonance.
Though dwarves were infamous for their steep demands, no one here hesitated to pour out kronas in exchange for weapons. In fact, many thought it better to spend some
You're
gold
the first
for a
person to
quality
talk to me
sword.
in 3 days.
For those who live and die by
Here,
the blade,
you can have
a good
this.
weapon was like an extra arm, and sturdy
World
arm was
map.
another life. Even Ancrid felt the absence of a blade on his right hand. It wouldn't hurt to have another sword, he thought. A sword forged by a dwarf would undoubtedly be worth having. He had grown used to cobbling together armor from whatever he could find, and he had just acquired an inner layer made from beast hide, wound tightly like a bandage. As they entered the fortress, Lord Martai himself
She
came
won't
to
let me
express
move around.
his gratitude. Thanks
there
to
you go.
you, he said. No need
It
to
don't
mention
look
it.
too big, but I think we got,
Replied,
yep, we got all this
observing
extra shit too.
courtesies. After advising them to rest, the Lord left. We don't have private rooms here. This place is
Don't look crazy, but I
just
think
as
it's gonna
barren as
add.
the bordered garrisons, Torres
Yeah.
remarked as he followed behind. Their assigned quarters turned out to be a shared room with 8 simple beds lined up in a row. Just as Torres said, the place was desolate. Apart from the
Yeah.
beds,
Gotta
there
be.
wasn't a single piece of furniture. The room had no purpose other than sleep. A soldier skilled in handling horses approached, eyeing the wild horse cautiously. The horse snorted. It seemed to understand it was the subject of
What do you
discussion,
think? For
shaking
3
its
days?
head.
By the way,
Leave
I have
it, Ancrid said
Yeah, that's a
casually.
great question.
He had brought the horse
Wait,
along on a whim.
they were actually
and it
going to
had
give me the
followed.
money. You wouldn't be
That
one of
was
those
all there
well of
was
heaven
to it.
saints.
If the
Well
horse
of
wanted to
heaven.
leave,
Oh, you're
he would
not.
let it go.
Well,
Of
the way
course,
you
the
throw
horse
money
had no
around, you
intention
might
of
as well
leaving.
be. Take
With
this
its
copy
blood
of
tainted
Wulin
by
Journal.
monster,
What do you mean
it was
faded?
now half
I paid
beast.
good money for this.
Its herd instinctively
Good
avoided
fortune
it,
is hard to buy,
sensing the
even with
fearsome
piles of
presence
gold.
of the
Why
monster's
fret over
blood.
such work?
For
Kind
the same
wanderer,
reason,
please do one last
She's
favor.
little.
couldn't enter the
When you
stable.
leave,
As a
drive away
result,
that black bear
the wild
too.
horse had to
In
leave
the
its
future,
home.
if you meet
It
others
was
of
the
my
only
order,
way for
say
the rest of the
ends
herd
of the
to
earth,
live safely.
inches apart,
As the herd's
and
leader,
they'll give you maps
this
of the
was
world.
its duty. It had even helped dispose of the burning skull as a final act.
Yes, it is.
Although technically the
Yes,
human
it
force
is.
finished the job. Just as Incred felt
Well,
an inexplicable
now I gotta slap a
closeness to
bear.
the horse also felt a peculiar connection to him. This was what the world called bonding.
Run them hands, little nigga.
Work. Rest, Incred said.
A bear
horse
that can't
Know
climb.
martial arts?
as if understanding.
Let
Hold
me
on, hold
learn
on,
from
hold on.
it.
Watching this
Hold on, time out.
interaction were on.
The bear can throw hands, but it can't climb?
Hey, is there any chance that thing turn? It doesn't. Incred replied firmly. Unlike Esther. he
Okay,
instinctively
okay,
knew
okay.
this.
The
Who would have
fuck
guessed a
am
leopard could turn human? Ren teased, but no one paid him any mind.
I? Tai
While
Chi?
unpacking and sorting through
I'm
the
learning Tai Chi from a fucking bear.
What is that thing? He had been busy even
I
here in
fucked up.
Matai, running around with a constant air of urgency. And now, seeing the wild horse standing idly outside their quarters, he couldn't take his eyes off
I learned Tai Chi from a bear.
Incred answered plainly, Chris. Looking skeptical, asked again, does it turn into a human too? He wasn't entirely unreasonable.
Did-
After all,
Did,
Esther's
did a nigga
transformation
just
set a
chunk
precedent.
a
It's
bear?
male. And
Okay.
just so you know, if you try to check from behind, you'll get your skull bashed in, Incred warned. While Esther had been fierce,
And that shit just ate that.
wild horse carried monster blood.
Oh, you wanna fade?
If Ray might end up with hoof prints on his face.
Come here, look.
Do I look like
Come here, young blood.
Grace retorted indignantly. Didn't I call you an idiot? What I mean
How the fuck do I?
I don't go around checking a horse's balls from behind. I was just giving
Bitch.
I need to get to the general
praise
shrine.
being as human as
Ruby
he
is still
was.
waiting for me.
It didn't hurt to warn him. Do you even realize I'm right here listening to all this?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as Ren voiced his complaint, Trace got smacked by
Should
him.
have some tea with your chai.
Ah. Considering the ridiculous conversation that had just transpired, Crace accepted the blow without protest. After rubbing the back of his head a few times, the conversation
Then bought it.
was gone. To be precise, Crace's attention shifted to something inside the quarters as soon as they entered. A scent lingered in the air.
Oh, so you you look like you mad.
What's in those chests? Generally, Craig answered. Crace's eyes immediately sparkled with interest. As always, humans have a strange talent for turning their eyes to golden corridors, he had mentioned. Opening the chests one by one, trying to let out a whisper. There's quite a hole. Did you see the dwarf that came into
Damn.
the village? The gardener, who had been watching Craig examine the chests and corners. Asked.
Nigga, what?
Did Ragnar have an interesting question?
Wait, stand still for me real quick. Let me do the new combo.
Incred watched as Cray replied, oh, I was just about to mention that. It really is this one.
Oh, it
I've
is.
never seen one.
Show this shit right here.
Pretty. Hey, what did he mean by that? He first had to check himself. After spending the late afternoon unpacking and loosening up his body,
You good?
using the isolation technique, Incred decided to visit the estate tomorrow. More accurately,
I did all that fighting, don't get nothing for it.
Dwarven blacksmith.
Damn.
After eating dinner, Incred closed his eyes. It was time to do what he always did,
That's tough.
reflect. What if I hadn't missed at the start? Because he had let the monster leader slip away, he had to chase it. During the pursuit, he experienced an uncanny focus. He had always combined concentration with sense of evasion. But the moment
I mean, fine. I'll go back and grab the horse, bro. I'll go back and grab the horse.
Was it will it work? No.
Oh, I can't hop on the horse no more.
wasn't. He now understood what will was.
It don't even matter now.
A force rooted in willpower, an intangible strength, a
You
mysterious
can get up, right?
phenomenon difficult to explain in human terms.
Chill back.
While it bore some resemblance to magic or sorcery, it was a power
Yeah,
confined to
like
individuals.
I'll leave. I'll walk
Manifested
across
those
this
who
water,
trained their
right?
bodies,
It should be
wielded
fine.
weapons, or turned their fists into their weapons. So no.
Oh,
What
we can
Ingrid
cook on
felt
it.
when he struck the monster leader, when he hurled his sword at its skull, was something crushed, huge, and unified. He had seen what he needed to do next, and it felt as though his senses had merged into a new form. It's called sense arts, he remembered Jackson explaining
Sounding
during
good.
training. The countless sparring sessions with Bell, his prior experiences, the insights gained through life. Mindset, and even the rejection he had honed through will. It all came together to create
tough.
that moment. There's no need to separate the sixth sense and evasion. It's simply sense arts, Jackson had said. And
Drug
Jackson,
toxicity.
his explanations were as convoluted as Ren's. At the time, none of it made sense. Encrid closed his eyes, merging his senses. He stepped into the realm of the sixth sense. Without dividing them, his senses allowed him to hear, see, and feel. Half opening his
Didn't
eyes,
tell.
he looked ahead. He saw Auden praying. May he follow the will of the Father. Watch over the land, that it may not.
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, you trying to run a phase with a nigga. I run phase with any and every.
What mattered was that Encrid felt as though he had opened a third eye. Despite all
Don't get mad at me just because you can't talk to your girl no more.
sensed his body beneath. The firm muscles, the bursting strength, the unwavering posture, even in prayer.
Hey, maybe I should be going to where I need to go.
The realization that struck Encrid came naturally. Without realizing it, he slightly parted his lips, lost in thought. Through the isolation technique, he saw a new path forward. The path revealed by merging his senses. Without training the body, none of this matters.
Could it be?
Everything starts with the body.
You good, nigga?
It was an unexpected realization, yet also something he had always known.
That's a bad setup.
Confirm what he already understood was, in its way, another form of insight. Encrid decided on the direction of his physical training. Of course, he would need Auden's help.
Oddity.
Ram,
The fuck is
watching
an
this
oddity?
moment of realization, muttered, "Hey, didn't someone say there's a temple in Martel?" Beside him, Craze, polished gems, answered, "Yes, there is.
Burn, young nigga,
It's
burn.
smaller than a shrine, but there's definitely a priest. Though the rumors about it aren't great. That guy is definitely broken, should we send him?" Ren murmured. Craze glanced at Encrid, with his mouth half open and drooling. He didn't exactly look normal. That's just how he always is.
Activating abilities.
It wasn't the first time they had seen him like this. While no one else paid much attention, Dunbakel made a bold decision. Mimicking Encrid, she parted her lips halfway and tried drooling.
Should
From
I
now
use
on,
umbrella?
she would learn and
Or should I
follow
use
everything
twin
Encrid
blades?
did.
Should I slap a nigga with the umbrella?
She intended to discover why he behaved as he did.
Or slice and
copying
dice.
herself.
I don't know which one I really want.
Why are you copying him? Been scolded.
Damn.
But Dunbuckle remained steadfast in her drooling. She was
I
certainly
mean, it's kind of
mad.
cold to slap a
The
nigga
door
with
to
an
the
umbrella.
quarters was half open, and the wild horse peeked inside. For a moment, it deliberated. Should I leave?
The
Should it
mobile.
take this chance to slip away?
I could.
It hadn't responded to Encrid's
Or I can
words
pimp
by
slap a nigga
chance.
with a fan.
Even before the monster blood, the horse had been exceptionally intelligent and discerning. It knew this
I'm
was
gonna
the moment to
heal. A
decide.
range DPS, a melee DPS, a tank, or a heal.
The
The
horse
fuck
thought
do
this
I
to
want to do?
itself. Chapter
fuck do I wanna do?
253. A night of stimulation. If you've had a realization,
This a
act
healer.
on it immediately. If even the smallest clue comes to mind,
Just
act on it right away.
I could lose my
If you
shit.
delay, you'll lose
Go
it.
stupid in
And
that
once it's
love.
lost, it's no
No,
longer
what? Fuck it.
yours.
I'm gonna use umbrella first.
Lost things disappear forever. Even the slightest epiphany should be engraved into your body through action. It was a brief lesson, as Encrid remembered. The lesson came from a fencing school near the gateway to the southern continent. The instructor was a dark-skinned man. Following this wisdom, Encrid rose
What? The
immediately.
twin blade?
It didn't matter what he had done earlier that day, whether it was time for rest or anything else. It held no
Shit,
significance.
you'll be a healer with that,
He
man.
stepped outside, where the
This is
sun had long
range.
set. The sleet had ceased.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm
leaving
just
the
gonna do
ground
the. I'm just gonna
wet
do the
and
shit
mushy.
that I usually don't do.
Beside him, a torch on a nearby post illuminated the surroundings with flickering flames. Whoosh, whoom. The wild horse Encrid had rescued watched him silently. Passing by the horse without a word, Encrid began moving his body in front of the barracks. What muscles are critical for wielding a sword? The entire body is crucial.
Oh, twin
The
blades.
forearm muscles
Yeah.
influence grip strength, while solid
Oh, the
core
tank shit.
serves as the foundation for generating centrifugal force in a strike. When slicing through fire, his thoughts reached the moment when he had cleaved through flames. A spell cast through a scroll, an astonishing and mysterious feat, but the only reality before him had been a fireball heading his way.
Young
He
one,
recalled his
your
movements in
notes
that
may
instant.
be off, but
He
you are
swung his
fated
sword
for
perpendicular
sure.
to the ground.
Destiny
The back.
approaches.
In his
Change
mind,
is
Encrid
coming.
dissected his body,
So
breaking
mysterious.
down its muscles and
I'll
scattering
make a
Thank
note of
you.
this treasure exchange.
He merged his senses into
First,
one
I need to find
intuitive
Ruby at the
realm,
General Shrine.
and used this unifying observation.
Oh, you want to see all the rest of shit?
Encrid mimicked the motion of splitting firewood. It was the movement he needed at that moment. Simultaneously, he analyzed how his
I see the
muscles
rest of
worked.
this shit.
This was the beginning of
I
transformation,
do the
the
umbrella on that
foundation
one.
of progress, the cornerstone of something new. Inside the barracks, a few observers watched. Members
I
of
guess
the
I can't.
Madmen unit.
Can I do it?
Dunbakel slurped the drool back into her mouth, stood up, and thought, if I copy him, perhaps I'll understand. Don't, sister. You'll ruin your body, Auden said, stepping in to stop her. Auden moved forward, watching the man acting wildly under the moonlight
Yeah,
with a mix
I
of
guess I can't go back.
curiosity and amazement. Why does the Lord grant me such joy through this sinner? Auden whispered to his god, his father, as he approached. What Encrid was doing wasn't about following instructions or seeking guidance from others. It was the pursuit of self-driven discovery.
Yours a bit
Through
far back.
observing and understanding the deficiencies in his body, he was forging his path to improvement. How could such a sight not bring joy? Although Auden had taught the isolation technique to countless individuals, or simpler, less effective versions of it, no one had reached this realm. It was rare to find those who found delight in mastering the technique, let alone improving it. Wait, balance, breathe deeply into your diaphragm. If your core wavers, everything else is useless, brother.
Don't tell me this shit.
Advised, standing beside Encrid. Encrid absorbed Auden's guidance. What had been mere habit and inertia yesterday transformed into purposeful navigation today. Like a sailor who had finally found his direction, he was ready to row his small boat properly. Auden couldn't suppress his laughter as he taught, his joy audible enough to draw the attention of nearby soldiers. They turned to look, their pupils quivering with confusion. What's wrong with him? Didn't he just get back today? Why is he dancing with a rock in his hands? So the Madmen unit isn't just insanely good at fighting. They're literally insane. Such whispers passed among the onlookers, for to them, Encrid's behavior was far from normal. Inside the barracks, Ren quietly shut the door. You're letting the cold air in. Dunbakel was disappointed. She had wanted to observe Encrid's actions further. Just ignore it. Pretend you didn't see anything. Why is he doing this in the dead of night? It's embarrassing to even look at, Rem grumbled. No one responded to his remarks. It was their nature to remain indifferent. Unable to suppress her curiosity, Dunbakel stepped outside. Rem didn't bother stopping her. In truth, he was preoccupied with his own thoughts. What kind of man does this? He enters battles and emerges victorious. He doesn't gloat over his absurd strength or revel in others' praise. Even the cheers of those he saved barely register with him. A spell-infused axe doesn't tempt
Saying
him,
something about my
nor do
wardrobe,
gold
but it ain't
coins or
saying telling me what
gemstones.
the fuck is it
Then,
my wardrobe.
after meditating until his eyes glaze over and drool drips from his lips, he runs outside to do this. Is that normal? No, it wasn't. But that very abnormality stirred something in Rem as well. After all, hadn't a flame-breathed axe fallen into his hands just recently? It was undoubtedly an item imbued with magic. That made it manageable. Though some resentment lingered in the axe, Encred had erased it.
Oh, I
Ren
got a mount now.
reflected on what he had left behind.
Is it
when
the
he
one I
departed
stole?
his tribe. Those were things he would have to reclaim someday. As his thoughts churned, he began to process the stimulus in Crid.
Stonebreaker
Grasping
spear.
the axe, Ren retreated into his own world. There are moments when physical training
Oh,
is
so spear is
paramount,
a tank.
but there are also times when refining and manifesting what one already possesses is key. For Ren, this was the latter. For Ragnar, it was the former. He too couldn't take his eye off Crid. Even after Ren had left, he stared blankly at the door, continuing even after Ren shut it. The same when Auden stepped out. And again when
I see a
Dunwich-
deer.
Is this what it feels like? This sensation of blood boiling? In truth, if blood were to boil, a person would die. But that's how
Run from it, boy.
is.
Just want to
Seated on
talk
the
to
edge
you.
of his bed in the vast square
I
light,
just want to talk to you.
Ragnar felt his blood simmering, his heart pounding with urgency. It seemed to demand he grab his sword and train immediately. But he didn't. The practice swords crafted back at Border Guard were of poor quality. Strength.
The fuck is that?
Ragnar was a genius, well aware of his shortcomings from early on. He had already grasped the methods of training, but required proper tools to support him. Not things he
我
would
兄
typically
弟
need,
几
but
把酒，
look at that
无
man.
梨树
He felt an
把我
inexplicable
山
urge
坡
to show the world a person
那
like him.
路
How
口
could one not be stirred seeing such a figure? Even a laid-back genius like Ragnar seemed urgency. The profound impression
My
Ingrid
feet.
left had led him down an unanticipated path. Ragnar resolved to do what he needed.
Oh, that's good. I see that.
To move forward beyond his past. This was more than a desire to be a sword. It was an intense stimulant, almost fire. Even mushrooms like it set his heart and mind aflame, shaking him beyond his will. Ragnar wasn't the only one. Even Teresa, her gaze obscured behind her mouth, couldn't stop her eyes. What was it that made the joy of battle, the instinct to fight, the blood of the lion in her. Teresa opened the door and stepped out.
I forgot. Fuck!
It hardly mattered if it was a thief. Once Teresa slammed the door open and left. What's her deal now? Craze, who had been examining jewels and other items, lifted
Just-
his head. Everyone here was far from normal. Through the open door, he saw Encrid, Auden, and Dunbake
Can I-
outside.
Okay, there you
Dunbake
go.
appeared
Just
to
heal me
have
so I can run my
paused
feed
and
back.
crouched, listening to a few words from Auden. Whenever she
Fuck is a
paused
hero's
silent,
tune?
Auden chuckled and grabbed her shoulder with his palm, pulling her upright. That hurts, Dunbake explained. Pain, after all, had a way of forcing words out immediately. It's supposed to hurt.
So there's niggas that want assist for
Fix your
this.
posture.
I don't give a fuck about that shrine.
Nearby, Teresa muttered something under her breath. Though it
I'm
wasn't
here to
audible,
run great
a few
feeds.
soldiers watched the scene with sidelong glances while the wild horse observed indifferently. Christ felt a twinge of concern. Partly deserved. In his hand was an expensive ruby framed red clay. If I trade this properly, I could get several hundred gold for it. They had called it some explorer's tomb, hadn't they? And it was supposedly more likely on this continent. Maybe I should switch to treasure hunting. No, that's not. Even with a surplus of lives, it's not worth it. Even the greatest swordsman could fall into a mystic trap, ending up knocking out the king of surgeons. Safe to say, Encred was a whirlwind of upheaval. Sticking close to a captain like him
No, fuck. Heal me, so leave me the fuck alone. On my fade.
But honest in that moment. Jackson had enjoyed learning techniques. Even perfecting skills meant for killing had been a source of joy. Yet, after engraving his mental his life experience, and his emotions, he had set that over on his side. He hadn't needed it. But now, he had dragged a long-buried desire violently to the surface. Jackson felt his heart race, as if when he first killed the foe. Desire and ambition fused into a single, pushing him to wield the sword once more. Why not refine his technique? Why not revisit every seal and push further? A hunger for blood roared within him. All of this was triggered by Encred running out under the moonlight. So the barracks remained quiet. Everyone experiencing these changes in transformation was Giants shook his head and returned to his side. Thus, the last simulation passed, and by the next day, whereas he was to find joy in helping others, now he was obsessed with refining the execution. Every movement felt like a unique form of skill. After finishing his morning training, the Lord invited him to let's go fill our stomachs. He recommended everyone there. Thank you again. Seriously, what's last night all about? What if something like that? Even the Lord, familiar with Encred, couldn't help but comment on how to feel the previous night had been. It was a perfect night to see, Encred replied. Anything more detailed than
A phase shall ever be ran.
It was about living life with purpose and direction, ensuring that his aspirations were always within
Catch this brother.
How could he possibly explain all that? Fair enough, the Lord conceded.
Oh, okay. There's a part 2. This ain't good for me.
Breakfast turned out to be a feast. Perfect
I wasn't expecting a part 2.
marinated pork ribs, steamed catfish,
Also can't see shit.
a mix of milk and water.
Fine. Let's switch the setup there.
Carved the meat into the bread. Salt white jelly lived up to mortality as the land. Even Rand admitted in admiration.
Okay.
What about the blonde? The Lord
Okay.
asked,
Okay.
referring to Ragnar. He's not much of a morning person. Praise.
I can run the feed. I can run fades.
Didn't seem to care, and the
I'm
Lord
gonna switch this shit up. I'm over here being nice and shit. Trying to use Umbra. Switched up the style today. My feed like. Okay. Well, fuck that up.
Are you heading back this afternoon? You will stay a bit longer. You may have his intention to commission something from the performers. The Lord nodded in understanding. The local folk still feel it rock. There's no need. What do you mean by that? Anyway, cooling our mouth with catfish nodded. After the meal, they spent more time explaining the effects of the previous night's stimulation. Only after sweating it out and washing up did they get to the estate marketplace. Trey leading the way. I already memorized everything. The habit of his always scouting escape routes and surroundings. Their first assault was a small coffee. Despite Martai's busting, being filled with narrow streets,
Shit gonna change real quick like.
newly built houses, and even though the buildings turned out to be good, seeing one, why not visit that place? But Encred ignored it. Inside the house, Christ himself, the bread and the tree. He called it rust. Sprinkled with sugar and salt. He gave a thumbs up and emphasized just how good it was. It wasn't served at breakfast.
fuck was that supposed to do?
Once lunch was finished, they planned to visit the dwarves. As they were eating, someone picked open the tavern door and walked in. What are you looking at? Bring me a plate of bread. The man sat down, passed a long delivery of oil. From his glaring eyes to his mannerisms, it was almost splendid. Explosive provocation. Chapter 2. So you want to die? Come and say it. Among the unyielding, and stubborn. Hans was one of those Easterners, and those among them who remained
Fuck!
Hans was no exception. Stopping the cavalry? Damn, isn't this whole thing rigged?
Bitch, I'm not entering no fucking training grounds. Get off my dick.
Dice games let his imagination run wild. Dice games, when tampered with, become games where only the same people win, don't they? Back in the day, whenever
don't give a
Mark
fuck.
faced a threat,
I'm winning this damn fight. Bitch, yet I'm switching my whole battle plan up. I don't even care. Run my fade again.
in a battle,
Going,
the Lord was
popping the Umbra out.
a new commander took over, and since then the domain
Gonna do this nice and slow.
The major crisis hit the domain. And one of those soldiers from the border guard. Damn, nothing about this is right. To Hans, the whole situation was irritating as a dog matter.
How much?
His monsters would be driven off by hostile troops. Danger they've been inflicted. Hans had not witnessed Emperor's battle. While others fought on the battlefield, he was drinking and sleeping, thinking the domain safely separate from his own. A divide had emerged, suddenly yet clear, between the Easterns and the Continentals. And he was in the know. But Hans, he only heard what he wanted to hear. A textbook fool. His job was to hold out his fists and collect meager silver coins in return. If it were me out there fighting, he thought, he would let his shot enter the street windows. And that so-called shot was the one thrust of the spear was over. Easterners out there were known for taking down lions with just a sword. Constantine himself had done so 18, killing the man-eating lion. His first legendary must have been using some sort of artifact or tricks, muttered one of Hans' drinking buddies. The man handed Hans a glass of wine. Hans took a sip. The sweet taste was almost like honey, warm and fine. A slight dizziness quickly passed. He clenched his jaw, unwilling to appear intoxicated. Not bad, sweet but light. Good, isn't it? It's a kind of that, replied the friend, unaware of the subtle change in Hans's mood. The conversation shifted to women. They say that guys got nothing but crazy. Women fall for it. Hans was a word of promotion of music. The cabaret. When Hans overheard that the so-called charming commander was he decided it was time to act. Fueled by liquid courage, Hans
Let me show you what a warrior spirit can do.
and then there was Lee, a
I'll tell you what, let me show you what a real spirit can do. You missed. Run that fade, come on, come on. God darn it. I don't care. Okay. Try the Umbra again.
It was clear the man had some training. His body showed signs of regular exertion. His muscles were decently developed, and there were habits in the way he placed his hands. He shifted
Fuck. Hey, I already know. This is a treacherous because young hero. Yabba.
Bewildered, the man looked around, struggling to comprehend how things had escalated.
A fade doesn't end till a
Anklet
fade
shoved him
ends.
away, and the man staggered to his feet, seized with the right
Just gotta do this shit once. Yep. That's what's up.
What the hell just happened? Unable to restrain himself, the man reached for the knife of his weapon. Around his lips and his warning the word image registered. By now, the rational part of his brain was completely shut down. The hero spiraled. Anklet noticed something strange about his opponent's behavior. He considered whether to break a limb or two for vengeance. Sharp snap echoed through. The man collapsed, knife still clutched in his hand. His eyes rolling back, he crumpled to the ground. Standing behind him, Jackson
Ah.
the man's limp body, flipped him over and sniffed his open mouth. What are you doing? Got some weird fetish? Grim quipped. Ignoring the remark, Jackson turned to him. Someone drugged him, he stated flatly. Drugged? Jackson elaborated, explaining that the man had been subjected to a precaution designed to impair judgment and induce him to not sleep. Something that could lead to if improperly administered. A slow clap interrupted the conversation. Impressive. A voice cried. I think you'd figure it out so quickly. The group turned to see a man approaching, his swagger accompanied by a jangling noise. He wore a leather water flask.
Okay, I'm not doing this one. Too passive on that one. Yeah.
No one replied. Even Randall
Yeah, it's an arena.
stayed silent, crossed his arms, and simply watched with mild disdain.
Yeah, there's an arena.
Comments on his lips did little to diminish the intensity of his presence. Swinging his unwieldy war axe, tightly confiscated from a centaur chief of the same moment. Anklet could feel that Ren was poised for action. This could end quickly. Who are you? Jackson finally broke the silence. The man spread his hands theatrically, pretending to deliberate before answering. I'm here from Black Blade. Black Blade was a notorious band of thieves. Anklet's arms hung loosely. Nothing good had ever come from this. The man raised his hands defensively. Nothing right. It came to be burned. The tavern staff and remaining patrons froze, watching their routine. Have you ever considered switching sides? A sly grin crossed his face. Anklet's brows furrowed. The argument had died. Nothing was happening. Best intentions, I assure you. Black Blade doesn't even know. The man gestured toward the unconscious Hans. Getting lost. Great opportunity. Think it over. His tone growing more desperate. Anklet's gaze hardened. Someone really asked him to die. Behind him, Ren let out a small laugh, really enjoying the particular situation. The man tried to maintain composure, but the beads of sweat began forming on his brow. Black Blade won't be hurt. Gunbreaker, don't you have some debts to settle? He glanced at the beast. His words was vague. Gunbreaker nodded calmly, her expression unreadable. For the first time, the messenger faltered. This lunatic's gotten even crazier, he thought grimly. Sighing, he tried again. Listen, this is a golden opportunity. Gunbreaker's issues could be overlooked, and we can give you everything you want. Even a favor from the Knights Order of Tyranny. Anklet remained
That's crazy.
It was time for a few assassins on the roof to fall. The man pushed his fingers a few more times, still keeping the motion hidden. A scream erupted from the waitress. Then next, entered Pierce. Standing near him, a man with a long head.
What the fuck? How am I not? I'm not timing this shit. Fuck it. Fuck it. We're gonna run the fade one more time.
The messenger's face darkened.
Let's switch it.
You kill me. The black blade will whoosh, thud, whoosh, crack, bang. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The messenger reached for a smoke bomb at his waist while sleeping. Before he could act, he still exists without even taking a breath. His right hand moved so quickly. It was fearful. Anchored in his senses while he listened to the process. The unbalanced, flameless axe soared through the air, showing up its blade as embedded itself in the mountain. The force sent the black flame and birds flying out. His body crashed back against the cavern wall and punctured. That was all. The black blade messenger was now a corpse. Another scream erupted from the waitress, and Jackson, unfazed, began rummaging through the lamp along with her crackers. Folded pieces of paper, a leather pouch, a poison, a knife, slowly replacing. Inside what usually folded piece of paper was a strange drug. It seemed to be a drug. Don't speak too aloud. If you contact the garrison, they'll come and clean it up. To him, it was no more than a fly.
Oh, you said what? I might pick that up. I'm not even feel like to. I got it on my Xbox. Yeah, I got it on my Xbox.
Whatever species the Black Blade was fought, their goal was to meet the dwarf. After all, that was the original purpose. The dwarf was sitting in the corner.
I already know that card.
The sounds of metalwork and the heat seemed irrelevant as the dwarf took melted cheese with his fingers and licked them clean. Apparently, news spread fast in this area. By the time they returned from exploring the market, word of Anchor's actions had already spread far and wide. The dwarf looked around and said, "You still have to know how to do it." And someone was speaking. How old could she be? Her kind often looked younger than they were, so it was possible she was older than them. But obviously, she was still a small girl up to 4. Of course, she wasn't a weird girl. She was a muscular youth with a mix of beard and nose. Her face was delicate. She was rather pretty. She wasn't lying when he said she was beautiful. Do you think that's pretty? Muttered with enough to stay. The dwarf mumbled back.
Okay, come on now.
The manner of speaking was smiling, and Rem was spelled Rem. The barbarian chuckled softly and asked Pinnacle, "Who's getting a tough word? Looks like I just Chapter 255. What the dwarf sees, sir? What do you want? The dwarf ignored the barbarian, and Rem did a fuss, brushing it off as he did himself. From the first moment they spoke, it was clear. The dwarf's words were sharp. Anchored for the opportunity to step in, speaking directly. If you sword ready, sword light.
Come on, bro. It's like
To be honest, I
it's
found
perfectly timed.
Does she know how to fight? Probably not. His assessment was
Fuck
based
it.
on her posture,
Fades just gotta. I just gotta keep switching.
positioning, and general demeanor. All right. The dwarf wasn't fixed. He simply scanned everything. It was said that dwarves didn't judge humans by their appearance.
know her.
Read someone's personality by observing the way they believe. A lot of magical, innate abilities and experience. A glimpse of what it is innocence. It was vast, unyielding, and utterly neutral. Just as metallurgy is about extracting and refining ore, and blacksmith about heating and shaping metal. Dwarves had eyes only
There it
for
is.
years.
Okay.
Stone and steel. To her, Encred appeared as a rock. But not just any rock. Absolutely not. What is this? A rock that, despite endless chipping and grinding, refused to break. It didn't erode or decay. A rock she couldn't comprehend. For her, this was the first time seeing such a human. It was utterly fascinating. And that fascination stirred her heart. Mystery, novelty, and the unknown were sure to pique any dwarf's curiosity. Hey, I'm not going to quickly glance. The barbarian chimed and observed him from the side. He casually handed over his hand, breathing out some sort of power. Didn't just threaten to bring the other. She judged he hadn't really. Dwarves had an amazing gift of distinguishing between one and one. Still, she thought he was odd. Even if he wasn't serious, he looked ready to swing his hand as light as a rubber. Her eyes scanned the winds. What's with this one? He was like a self-igniting stone. Anyone here would either need to know or have someone shielded from the flames. It could even be said, a rock that didn't burn or degrade. A rock with black hair and blue eyes. The voice shifted across the group.
Oh, that shit took
Everyone
time.
else was just as profound. One seemed like true silver, refined to tens of thousands of hours. Another resembled black steel, blade sharpened and steel. And then there was a grayish ash gold, a rare metal set on the stone. Ash gold was something even more experienced once in her life. And all of them, crucible, black steel, were exceedingly rare. And yet, here they all were. She couldn't help but wonder. What's with these? The dwarf's eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dwarves, with their steadfast wills, rarely showed surprise. Even against powerful magic affecting the mind, they were largely immune. The dwarf carefully examined them all. The most remarkable was still the rock. A rock that didn't wear down, decay,
A fade never quits.
shielded the flames, enveloped the crucible, dispelled the darkness of the black steel, and even encompassed the ash gold. Each stood with their unique qualities on full display. It was truly fascinating. Curious. The dwarf finally asked, "What's your name?" Encred guessed she was not able.
I'll be back in the Discord in a second.
Encred, he replied. "All right, give me your hand." When Encred obediently extended his hand, the dwarf inspected his calluses and knuckles with meticulous.
Nigga, I just ran off fade
Looks like you've done a bit of everything.
8 times in a fucking row.
Encred thought to himself. His body bore
I had to run a fade so doggone malicious with some random nigga. Now I'm finna help other niggas. Wait, do I got a call file or can I help?
When he thought about it, he
Yeah.
dabbled in almost every
Yeah.
form of swordsmanship. Recently, he had been immersed in Eugen's swordsmanship.
One
honing his
shots.
body further.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even without mentioning the mastery
I
of
think
will,
right
his
underneath
body carried the
hard, maybe?
countless techniques. All right, I've got a decent sword lying around. I'll adjust it
No.
and give it to you. And you, she said, turning to the barbarian, your axe just needs its handle and balance fixed,
Oh,
right?
you one shots.
Why are you
Oh, I can put this on legendary. Let me put this shit on
I'll
legendary.
melt it down and make something better. As for you, looks like you don't need anything. And
Yeah,
the
that's
rest
fine.
of you, right, ash gold. He pointed at Ragnar. What do you need? Dwarves sure talked a lot, didn't they? But within her torrent of words was the sharp insight unique to her kind. If frogs admired talent,
Yeah.
dwarves excelled in perception. With just a glance, she had
Bro, they
pinpointed what each
dropped it.
person
That's
in the
why.
group needed.
Fucking bastards.
A
Yeah, I don't
nickname
got
for
it on
Ragnar
legend, but I got it on
was
expert now.
but since she was a dwarf, no one paid it much attention.
Yeah.
A
I had it on
long
expert before, but it dropped my shit.
Ragnar replied. He didn't care what the dwarf said,
No.
only voicing his purpose clearly. His focus was
I
unwavering.
used it and
The
miss.
same thing happened when the Black Blade bandits showed up. It didn't matter, so they were ignored. Instead, Jackson took action. Rem remained as he always was. Odin simply kept smiling nonchalantly. The dwarf nodded, understood. Thus, it was decided that Encred's sword and the flaming axe would be repaired.
Somebody's name
And
is
the
girlfriend.
spike lance used by the centaur leader would be melted down and reforged. Additionally, the dwarf
Anyway,
offered
yeah, I'm
Thrall
level
a
4.
new sword for Ragnar personally. Encred had heard that the dwarf was a picky craftsman.
Damn. The fuck was all you?
But
The heck
seeing
was
how
y'all doing?
accommodating she was, he realized that rumors couldn't always be trusted. Hey, didn't you say even a single
No, I understand. You just got on. I'm talking about.
Grace spoke up from behind. Well, you're just, you know, not good enough.
Yeah.
Giving me something I made.
Oh, I have been on 2K.
Just go grab some random human-made weapon. Wow, blatant discrimination. Christ muttered, genuinely looking hurt. He wasn't someone who had ever been particularly attached to weapons.
Oh.
So it was puzzling why he was suddenly so fixated on getting a dagger. Should I buy one for you?
Yeah, that's not what I do. I just run fades.
But why was
If
he
I so much as
reluctant?
see something move that I don't like, just get
It's been
touched.
a long time since I've been
I got an umbrella and I'm ready to use it.
later, Sam said, and the dwarf chuckled.
That
"You
is.
kid." Her expression seemed to say so. But to get all of this done, it'll take about a week.
How the fuck do I use the lightning skill to chase
Dwarf
them?
added. Encred glanced around the forge. Everyone who had been hammering metal had stopped, eyeing them cautiously. 2 craftsmen were working, with metal arranged neatly along one wall, and the furnaces fired, driving away the coal. The place wasn't large, but the intense heat made it feel as though sweat might break out any moment. Give them a few silver coins. You should pay for
The
using
fuck is
the
this?
forge, the dwarf said again. Chris handed over a few silver coins. Encred added a few more after observing. There was no such thing as a proper amount when asking for a favor. Encred never held back on spending coins when it came to matters. Christ didn't make a fuss about it either. With the money the commander had earned during this journey, they wouldn't be lacking anything for a while. Not that they had been struggling before. The man who seemed to be the forge's owner hesitated, then nodded. Feel free to use it as you like. And for the cost,
I could be a thief.
big eyes. Hand over that pouch of gems you
I wonder when Uncle Jiang will
the
return.
dwarf said,
I want to
revealing
search,
the
but
sharp
Han won't even
insight
tell me what the
by
big news
instantly
is.
guessing Craig.
Could it really have something to
You
do
want
with
this?
my real family?
Grace had kept a few precious gems with him, unable to leave them behind. Yes. Hey, I'm giving you a discount. The dwarf's tone was cheap and inconsistent, a hint of his age slipping through.
That's a
Give
cat.
it to her, Encred said. Price frowned, but nodded reluctantly. Just as he was about to hand over the pouch, he paused and asked, "But how did you know I had this? What do you think the dwarf's nose is for? I can smell the offensive stones reeking from it. So dwarves could detect that too? Not that it mattered. Encred didn't dwell on it and moved on.
Is there anything else I can run a fade with? What the fuck is this?
For roughly a week.
Can I
They
touch it?
returned to the market. The forge's heat had warmed their bodies.
What's the boundaries,
So they
son?
felt chill for a moment. But soon the cold air seeped back into them. The Rem still wore
Are you
his
after the
Yeah.
treasures of the Northern Vow as well?
I decided
I ain't walked over there yet.
Don't alert anyone inside.
Northern
Thanks to
Vow?
the heat stone he was
You don't
carrying.
know?
Well,
Word around the jungle
no
is,
surprise.
though the Northern Vow
He
was
hated the
defeated,
cold
your
intensely.
treasure was hidden away.
Ragnar silently walked on, without paying
Would you
much
believe it?
attention to the
The
surroundings.
Tigerfort people actually
need a
captured a
decent
descendant
sword?
of the Northern Vow.
Suddenly,
They say that guy knows all the
Encred asked
secrets of the treasure.
curiously. Yes?
Why are you telling me these
I do.
things?
though he was
Those
curious
Tiger
about
Fort
the
bullies
reason.
think they can
He
hoard the
didn't
treasure.
press further.
I mean, I
won't
beat
let
the
them.
bear.
Of course, it was
Slept the bear up.
Ingrid. What had the night of stimulation left in them? A drive and a desire to grow. They hadn't achieved victory, but knowing that they could fill them with excitement. Ragnar embraced it too. These were emotions and experiences he hadn't felt before. In the past, achieving something had been so predictable it was dull. Now, it was the opposite. So, he needed a good sword, one that suited his hands and body. He believed the dwarf's craftsmanship would deliver. They continued to browse the market. It was smaller than the Border Guards market, but still lively. This place was emerging as a trading hub connecting the East. Price casually chatted with a few merchants here and there. Some spoke to him comfortably, having apparently become familiar with him at some point. Among the passers-by, there were soldiers who recognized Ancred and saluted him. They had seen him wield his sword and chase the centaur leader. There were quite a few patrolling soldiers, moving in groups of 3 or 4, seemingly focused on internal security. They bought a few white breads, as well as some with raisins baked in, and wandered around the market. While they
Maybe
were
there really
browsing,
isn't.
a young woman with a youthful face blocked their path. I just have to deliver the message. That's all, just the message, she stammered, trembling. What is it? Crais asked gently, seemingly trying to calm her. The Black Blade won't let this go. Her anxious eyes scanned them nervously as she spoke, her legs shaking visibly with fear. It's okay. Crais reassured her and asked a few questions. After someone had approached her, tossed her 2 silver coins and told her to deliver a message. She desperately needed the coins because her younger sibling was ill. Crais even asked for her name and handed her 3 additional silver coins. Save when needed, spend when necessary. That was the rule. If anything happens around here, I'd appreciate it if you could let me know. With his characteristic smile, he reassured her and sent her on her way. After she left, Craig let out a heavy sigh, glanced toward the alley she had disappeared into, and said, "They don't seem like they're giving up. Shouldn't we do something?" Crais asked. "Without missing a beat," Ancred replied. "Think about it." "Pardon?" "I don't know, so you figure it out," Crais said, as if it were the most natural thing. Crais found himself noticing a change in his commander. Had he always been this good at managing tasks? Before, it felt more like he would make requests. The shift in attitude was undeniable. This is appropriate, of course, for someone responsible for you. If they come at us, shall we ask the war god if it's permissible to send such insolent ones to the afterlife? Auden chimed in his own shot. "I'm a wandering priest. Ben, I'll cut them down." His gaze shifted to Dunbar. "I borrowed about 15 gold coins at the end," she replied. "Why?" Sheer curiosity. Perhaps spending 15 gold coins for fun? What? Did she hire a male escort in the capital and indulge in lavish drinks and extravagant feasts? All of it?
Doing double
Well,
fans.
I spent 2 coins. The rest
Nice.
I gave away. To whom? Crais's tone grew curt as he struggled to comprehend her casual use of borrowed funds. But Dunbakel didn't seem bothered. To her kind, etiquette boiled down to not stealing another's
I'm able to do it more
The
with the
kids
big
on the
niggas
street
than the
or orphanages.
little ones that be popping through.
She had spent the borrowed gold freely. Dunbakel, figuring she'd die anyway, had simply
Like, players
followed
are
her heart.
obvious.
Of course, seeing abandoned children had resonated with her own past. But she wasn't about to explain all that. Crais was baffled. You borrowed gold from bandits and thought you'd just get away with it? What kind of lunatic borrows 15 gold coins for this? Her head could have been on the chopping block.
Oh wait, is he?
Yeah.
Are you at the
I
arena?
guess that's true. She's not normal either. The group headed to the marketplace. The atmosphere here was distinct from that of Border Guard. The goods, the people, it all felt different. Some eyes lingered on Ancred. With his striking features and presence, he drew attention wherever he went. In fact, it would have been stranger if he didn't attract stares. Some of the group paid attention to the market vendors for the occasional thud, his expression mirrored that of the fool they'd beaten earlier. That looks like fur, Ram said, his gaze fixated on a pile of
What you
feathers.
trying to get?
Ancred's attention was caught by leather trousers spread on a merchant's mat. Auden bought a small wooden round figurine from a young carver. The replica was recognizable as the craftsmanship of Buddha. As they waited, 3 thugs approached. Would they try the same idiotic move as the last guy? Price's eyes gleamed with amusement. He was curious to see what these fools would attempt. But things didn't go as he expected. The leader threw himself face first onto the dirt in front of Encred. The bold motion left his clothes smeared with grime. But he didn't seem to care. That guy wasn't one of us. He was some drifter, been freeloading in the region for about half a year. Went by the name Bento. He babbled. Who? Encred's expression asked wordlessly. The thugs scrambled to clarify, referring to the man from the tavern earlier. Hans didn't know anything either, so please
Now
forgive
that you
us.
mention it,
I'll make sure to punish that guy
some
myself.
Northern Val
His
members
explanation was
were never
disjointed,
found.
but it showed loyalty. Ancred gave a small nod.
Yeah, you can
The
go
man
one.
called
Yeah,
Hans.
this is
He
probably
was
what I'm
the
gonna do.
one who had been drugged and hypnotized into attacking him earlier. Handle it yourself. And don't kill, Encred said, brushing past him. What? What? Ignoring the bewildered thug, Encred moved toward the leather trousers he had been eyeing. Ram picked up some furs. Big eyes, hand over a few gold coins? Don't just buy things without bargaining. Cray shouted as he dashed toward him. Holding casually.
Just fine.
What the commander meant with a bear-like hand, he tapped the guy's shoulder. On the other side, he looked at his friend. If you mess around, you will die. Short, and yet, the menace in her voice carried a weight that made the thug think she could snap his neck without hesitation. While Craze haggled, the rest of the group made their purchases. Don Bakel tried to get trousers similar to Encred's, but when the vendor said there weren't identical ones, she settled for the closest match. Of course, Craze negotiated to ensure they paid a fair price. After a day of thoroughly combing through the market, they returned to their lodging.
Damn, I suck.
There, a bold-headed man stood waiting outside their quarters. Chapter 256. How to handle food. The Lord, who bestowed radiance upon his land, Encred tilted his head to the Lord. I am a servant of the Ravens, the man added. This meant he was a priest, one of those who replaced greetings with the words of their holy scripture. What brings you here? Encred asked. I have come to bestow blessings, the priest replied with a serene smile. A blessing out of the blue? Encred mused silently. Isn't this the sort of thing one typically receives before a battle? The priest, however, was undeterred and carried on with his sermon. The hand of radiance that protects this land has sent heroes to this domain. Ho, ho, ho. Chrysis Cronus' finely attuned senses began to pick up on the priest's intent. He had merged his advanced sense of smell into an instinctive ability, almost like a sixth sense, allowing him to discern the disposition of others. Or perhaps it was simply that this man wasn't trying to hide anything. The priest rambled on, eventually claiming that the recent protection of the land was entirely thanks to his 3 days and nights of unceasing prayer. Ram paused as he adjusted his cloak, raising his head in disbelief. What did he just say? His face showed her incredulity. Don't, Encred said, cutting him off. Even Ragnar, who had been heading into the lodging, stopped in his tracks. Encred noted the shift of weight onto Ragnar's left foot. The man's unique sensitivity had been triggered. Encred raised a hand, palm out, toward Ragnar. A clear signal to stop. While While
It's a
Ren
battle
might give
pass.
some visible warning before acting rashly, Ragnar was the type to act first, usually with fists flying. Of course, the most dangerous one here was Jackson. That man could strike without warning, with chilling precision. Nobody do anything, Incred said again. Though he felt the same irritation and anger as the others, he was the only one keeping his composure. They were, after all, in the heart of the domain, right in the middle of a military camp. Beating, or worse, killing? A priest here was not an option. Although, a little beating might not be too bad, he thought. This is troublesome, Chris said, his voice cold. His tone suggested he wasn't worried about the situation itself, but rather pondering how to cover it up if the priest ended up dead. It wasn't about Krona, nor about Prae's aversion to unnecessary conflict. Praes had fought on battlefields. But if victory was due solely to prayer, if survival came purely from divine intervention, what did that mean for the soldiers who bled and fought? Encred reached a conclusion. This guy is an idiot, and the first rule of dealing with fools, ignore them. The first step in avoiding filth is to steer clear of it. But contrary to expectations, someone typically passes
$20
step
for this.
forward.
It's
Odin's
10 for
wisdom
the
cast a
elite.
long shadow across the
20 for the
priest
full
in the
collection,
late
I guess.
afternoon sun. So, since victory came through prayer, are you asking for a victory offering? Odin's usual title of brother was absent from his words. Encred knew Odin well. Though deeply religious and skilled in sacred arts, Odin kept these facets of himself private. He also avoided violence, even against corrupt priests or those driven by greed. This made his current actions all the more surprising. Yes, precisely. For the temple, the domain, and make an offering.
Oh, that's cool.
Encred understood the
Ooh.
a few gold coins and they'd be praised. But praise was not something this group sought.
Oh.
Since Radiance's will is so lofty, one of the funerals for the fallen.
No, I fuck with this
Odin
more.
asked suddenly. Encred hesitated, considering whether to stop him. That will come in time, the priest said
This
dismissively.
one also looks
His
fun.
tone betrayed his disregard for the soldiers who had died. This was a world rife with monsters and beasts, a place where war threatened at every turn.
Oh, I want
The
that.
specter of another cataclysmic conflict like the Holy Demon War loomed over them. In that historic
There's a
war,
multi-pass.
humanity and its allied races had suffered losses so vast that rivers of blood were said to have flowed and mountains of corpses were left behind. Even now, the continent remained embroiled in chaos and strife. Life, though fragile, was no less valuable for it. A warlord might see their troops as mere numbers. A general might view them the same way. But should a priest? You've brought many fine goods, haven't you? Ho ho, if you make an offering in goodwill, blessings will follow, the priest said. There was not a shred of divinity in his manner. The words blessings sounded more like extortion. Odin looked at the priest. It was a common occurrence. There were plenty of idiots in
this is
the world, and this territory seemed to have more than its fair share. A fool,
I don't care about
intoxicated by
skills.
drugs and hypnosis. A fool belonging to a group called the Black Blades. And on top of that, a fool wearing the guise of a priest. A common sight. Odin knew this wasn't anything special. After all, how had he dealt with such people before? Even though there were no clergy in Border Guard, wandering priests occasionally appeared. Hadn't they seen them committing robbery under the guise of collecting donations? Everyone had turned a blind eye. For a long time, the excommunicated priests had ignored every problem in sight, placing someone who was said to break through walls above them, someone who was called the Limit. Recently, though, he had seen a human defy its fate. That human's name was Incrid. The words spoken before the one who defied fate were before Incrid himself. A lot of thoughts flashed through his mind. It was the end of the thoughts he had concluded while watching Incrid. Odin's face was unchanged. Was I told to watch something wrong? No, father, the god, and his lord hadn't asked him to do that. So Odin responded to the wrong leader because his lord, who now resided within him, had steadied him. This priest was a fool. Ingrid knew it. It was the moment when he decided to ignore it and turn a blind eye. Whoosh. As the air shifted and something brushed against his sixth sense, Aincred reacted. What if Rem couldn't hold back and threw an axe? That would cause chaos. He reached out and tried to block it with his body. The one who moved was a person, and the one who moved slipped like a snake under the arm that Aincred had stretched out, swinging their palm. Flap! There was no groan, no final cry. The one who moved was Odin. He had swung his palm, and it landed on the priest's cheek. Aincred turned his body. In that moment, Odin's movement caught his keen senses, and he asked, "What was that?" "Snake steps," Odin answered. To anyone else, it would surely sound like a conversation between madmen. After satisfying his curiosity, Aincred watched Odin's actions. Is he dead? Almost dead, I'd say. Rem responded to the question. Ragnar, silently observing the situation, muttered under his breath as he looked at Odin. Troublemaker trying. Jackson then said flatly, "Was it really necessary? Wouldn't it have been easier to just sneak by without being seen?" Finally, Rem looked at the priest, who was sprawled on the ground, wriggling, or more precisely, having been thrown a few steps to the side of his previous position. It didn't seem like he was dead, but his body was trembling. People should learn to endure a little. Rem muttered. Was that really something he should be saying? Aincred, thinking this over, gestured to Kreis, who moved in to check the priest's breath. Luckily? No, not exactly luckily. He's breathing. His cheek was swelling red immediately, but he was alive. The fact that his eyeballs hadn't popped out or exploded was fortunate. Now the problem remained. Aincred was the leader of the troublemaking squad. This kind of accident was familiar to him. No, I think this is the first time I've hit a priest. There were no priests in Vortigaude. It wasn't because of any special reason, but more of a series of coincidences. The first commander had distanced himself from religion, and those who came after him followed his lead. Most recently, before Marcus came, the commander had despised the fat pigs who coveted their own portion. So he hated the corrupt priests. Whether they had a strong sense of sacrifice or not, they were still receiving donations, and that alone made them disliked. The current battalion commander, Marcus, was the same. He believed in the gods and donated to temples. But when a temple tried to establish itself within his territory, he didn't allow it. He would cut anything that didn't benefit the territory. It was also strange that the priests who visited the territory seemed to only care about Krona. Sure, if someone were dispatched from the temple, a new temple could easily spring up. But so far, there had been no temples in Vortigaude. But had this been the first time encountering such a fool? No, it hadn't. The real question was why he had chosen to strike now. Aincred, looking at Odin with this thought in mind, saw him clasp his hands together in front of his chest, and said, as if praying, "I have no regrets. It is merely that my lord commanded this, and I, as a servant, must follow." He meant that he wanted to hit him. Aincred completely understood. "Let's just kill him and bury him." Rem spoke. That didn't make sense. There were already many eyes watching the commotion outside their lodging. Instead of responding to this meaningless question, Aincred once again examined the priest. He was definitely not dead. Squatting down to inspect, one of the soldiers watching spoke. "Why does it feel so refreshing? Right? Foolish pig." A few thoughtless soldiers snickered, and a smarter soldier called for their commander. The commander quickly arrived and, upon hearing the situation, immediately reported to the higher-ups. Soon, Zimmer appeared. "Let's say it was me who hit him. Ancred looked at Zimmer as if questioning him, and Zimmer spoke, his eyes gleaming. I think it will be easier to deal with this if I take the blame instead of you. Appreciate it, but you are the heroes who defend this territory. Surely I can handle something like this. Zimmer spoke proudly. What happens when a priest is beaten? It would be reported to the higher-ups immediately. The temple would send someone to claim that their god had been disrespected, or use this as an excuse to extend their influence over the territory. If Borderguard and Marta were becoming a trade territory as they knew, the temple might try to bring some of their offerings here to claim a portion of the profits. But what about Zimmer, who had beaten the priest? He would suffer consequences in the form of fines or punishment. If things went wrong, it could become a bigger issue. If they pursued it, he might even be imprisoned. That's what it meant to hit a priest sent to the territory. But Zimmer, in this case, would fare better than Auden. It was different when an outsider hit the priest compared to a conflict with someone they already knew. There was also the difference in influence within the territory. Ancred scratched his temple thoughtfully. He looked at Auden, who was hiding his divinity. What troubled him the most was, should I really associate that bear-like person with a priest? It didn't seem like a good idea. He was hiding his divinity, staying in a territory without any priests, and he was part of a unit. He was a fugitive. Ancred could sense that without being told.
Oh, I can't
It was
even.
a clear problem.
I can't
Whether
even
he
die
believed
this
in
shit.
heresy,
Yeah.
or had sinned against the temple. Both could be true. Everyone here will be a witness, Zimmer said confidently. He was from the east, and was the commander of this territory. It wouldn't be too hard to influence the divided group of soldiers. The soldiers from Borderguard were friendly to Ancred, so there was no need to persuade them. Let's do that. Craze nudged Ancred with his elbow. Ancred decided to accept the offer. Thank you. Zimmer nodded in response. He was the same bold character in battle, even after a defeat. That settles it. Zimmer had a soldier carry the fallen priest inside. The next day, the priest, with his memory lost, started yelling and complaining. Ancred happened to witness the scene during his morning routine in the barracks. How dare you lay a hand on the servant of the gods? Do you think this will just be forgotten? The Radiance is watching, huh? I'll report this to the temple and make sure this is dealt with. It was near the outer edge of the barracks, where the thick brush grew. Ancred overheard the conversation, and was relieved to find out the priest didn't hit him. From the rest of the conversation, it seemed that Zimmer was even more bold and carefree than Ancred had realized. You won because of prayer? Damn, you pig! The priest's words faltered. The once smooth tongue now stammered. What? What did you just say? The tremor in his voice was unmistakable. He was scared, to put it simply. Damn, have your ears gotten fat? How about I just cut that ear off? Drew a dagger. The morning sun gleamed off the blade, making it sparkle. Or maybe I should cut off the tongue that's spewing nonsense. Zimmer's movements radiated menace. The kind of threat that felt like he might actually follow through. The priest hesitated to respond, but after a moment, he attempted one last defiance. I'll report this to the temple. If they hear it, you'll end up as the midnight meal of a ghoul that suddenly attacks during the prayer. Or maybe you'll be a proud casualty from the battlefield in the previous Centaur colony. You were charging into battle and got seriously wounded, couldn't be treated, and died. Everyone would believe it was because you were a priest. You tried to heal yourself with divine power. Not every priest uses divine power. That was not something to boast of. It was a wonderful old scene, one that left a deep impression on me. It was also why was you the one missing the priest? But it would not have carried.
Welcome. They're actual bad guys.
Encred hadn't broken his routine, preparing to go back out and practice with his sword. He moved as usual, crying, the black blade.
You gotta kill players.
Even if the commander stops him. Praise talked like that, but it was clear he would never buy one. He was a tight-fisted man when it came to things like fur, especially regarding the
Solemnly, I vow.
Let's go.
Are you all right?
We're going to swing that sword,
Uncle
right?
Simon.
Cray spoke as they headed outside. The sun was warm, but the air was cold. It was the drop in temperature that signaled the arrival of winter. Encred grabbed his sword and stepped outside.
Am I supposed to light all these or take all these out?
He focused on his training. Meanwhile, Cray mused about why the Black Blades were so nice. Encred considered this,
Makes
thinking
sense.
that since coming to Mortaia, he had been encountering more fools in such groups than usual. Now that the Black Blades were drawing their swords, and the priest had been struck by Odin, it left him wondering how to deal with such people. The answer was simple. Just beat them all. Just beat them all. The answer was clear, but it was
The usual
Cray
fox
who would
thing.
now decide how to carry it out. Since Encred had given the command, Cress would follow it to the letter. Chapter 257. How to handle fools. 2. Cray followed Encred's orders. Find a way to deal with the Black Blades. That was the task. Christ thought hard, considering various possibilities. It was a given that the Black Blades would make a move. So, what would they do? Before that, how did Cray know they had such intentions? It was simple. They told him. And that was why they were being nice people.
You know, I fucked around and did that same thing by
Or they
accident.
could just be idiots. Though he leaned toward the latter, it didn't really matter. Think about it. Cray spoke as he walked toward the sunlit area, pulling his coat tighter to block out the cold.
No. I accidentally ran a fade with this one.
In Crace's eyes, Encred looked like he was stirring a stew with a ladle, aimlessly waving the sword. This time they're sending someone who isn't even part of their group, telling us not to kill. I think these guys are actually pretty harmless, don't you? Thieves? Or idiots? The enemy, in Crace's eyes, was made up of friendly idiots. Despite this, Crace continued to entertain grim thoughts, influenced by his upbringing and nature. What if they send a
Says
knight?
it.
Would he be able to handle someone at that level? He glanced at Encred, still swinging his sword, then at the closed door of their barracks. The stone walls of the courtyard, made with gravel and plaster, stood between them and the dreary brown door. Inside there were barbarians wrapped in furs and warming stones. A bear-like clergyman who had pummeled a priest yesterday. A troublesome man who wandered off on his own despite being hopelessly lost. A gangster with a habit of disappearing. A former cultist giant and a former bandit. All within those walls. Could they deal with a knight? A fleeting hope entered Christ's mind, but he immediately dismissed it. It was ridiculous. Knights were monsters, disasters waiting to happen. Craze shook his head. So, what's the plan? Encred continued to move, making a few more attempts with his sword, trying different stances and footwork. To Cray, it looked like a dance, a messy dance, like stirring stew. He watched his commander, lost in thought as his mind kept returning to unsettling possibilities. Before he spoke, we'll do everything we can. That was the plan. The enemy had kindly informed them of their likely attack plans. If I were a thief, if Craze were the leader of the Black Blades, and if he wanted to kill them, what would he do? The commander is a knight who has mastered will. Moreover, each of his subordinates was a monster. The dwarf had a sharp sense of insight, comparing people
I
to
don't
metals.
think.
The fairy had an acute sensitivity, often likening their foes to animals and plants. And Crais, for his part, saw his comrades as gold coins. How many pieces? It was immeasurable.
Perhaps I have screwed up.
Made sense. They might be a group that seemed to cause more harm than good, but on the other hand, an unparalleled force. From an external viewpoint, they were clearly a formidable force to be reckoned with. Crais' mind began to calculate the possibilities of what the Black Blades could do, what they might try, or what they were highly likely to attempt next. It can be assassination, ambush, poison, and bribery. Those were the 4 possibilities. Encred, though no fool, paused briefly, letting his sword come to a stop. His next move didn't immediately follow the previous one. He had tried to mimic a snake step, but it hadn't worked. Most likely, the trouble will start on the way back. And the plan? The same question. Cray only had one request. Do you think we could request reinforcements from Torres, or now from Colonel Torres? Would he lend us some troops? Probably. But there was something they couldn't lend. The real issue was time. They couldn't afford to leave the territory for too long. Encred didn't need to point that out. Crais already knew. Martaya was short on manpower. That's why the mercenaries were being hired and converted into private soldiers. The plan was already in motion. They were about to take on something big this time. Crais was determined to pour all his energy into clearing out the monsters and beasts of the grateful forest area. Encred, in the midst of his training and battles with the colonies, pondered on what could be done to ensure the safety of the Trakelets. What if we expand the Border Guard's territory? It was a vague thought at first, and further contemplation was necessary. Once we get the weapons from the dwarf, we'll head back, right? As soon as we get them. There were no issues if that was the plan. Understood. And so, Crais disappeared into the morning, leaving Encred with time for himself again. This time it was time for the sword, and for himself. Earlier that morning, Encred had practiced the isolation technique with Orden. His words stuck with him. Why do you train your body? Once you find that answer, the next question is how, and I believe I've already given you that answer. Orden was a good teacher. His advice was simple. Think for yourself. He had already provided the foundation. Encred wasn't foolish, nor was he slow. The real issue was that his body didn't always cooperate as he wished. So, what about now? To move forward, he was ready for tomorrow, prepared to face it. His mindset hadn't changed. But there was one thing different. He was more at ease than before. Encred swung his sword, even if it seemed pointless. It didn't matter. This was his way of thinking. This was Encred's meditation method. He immersed himself in his world. He sank into it, observing and contemplating everything with precision. He reflected on his past realizations. No one ever told me which swordsmanship to learn. Even Ragnar, who had taught him two-handed swordsmanship, didn't care what sword he wielded. Coincidentally, Ragnar was now beside him, swinging a massive heavy sword he had bought at the blacksmith shop earlier. There were no fancy moves, just a simple downward strike. The sunlight seemed to glint off the blunt edge of the sword. Cut and cut again. It didn't matter what tried to block it. It would cut through. That was Ragnar's swordsmanship, two-handed sword style. Encred recalled the techniques he had learned. Mercenary sword of Valen was the sword of the dawn. Unknown swordsmanship was the sword of truth. What he learned from Ragnar was two-handed sword style. Then he had learned the basics of one-handed swordsmanship from Ragnar and practiced it alone, refining his technique. He had learned to observe, understand, and strike from his experience with the sword. No, I also learned this from Orden. Vala-style martial arts. Martial arts, after all, used hands, feet, and the body as weapons. It was the shortest weapon a human could wield. What then? Was the foundation of martial arts? To flow, to be fast, to be heavy, and to be light. Everything blended together. There was no simple division of it into offense and defense. Valor-style martial arts was a technique that embraced everything. It was the ideal form, perfected. However, it wasn't swordsmanship. Still, elements of it could be added to his sword technique. With full concentration, Ankrit focused on refining his one-handed sword style while swinging his sword. When physically training, he emphasized flexibility. Lifting heavy stones or iron might be similar. But the important part was the time spent loosening and stretching each muscle in his body. It was all for the purpose of increasing flexibility. Why focus on one-handed swordsmanship? Because it had opened his senses. One-handed swordsmanship is defensive, a style of defense. The most important thing for that was vision. In other words, it was about perception. To properly perceive and understand, one had to see and understand the point of contact and strength. To see, hear, taste, smell, and feel, everything converged into one unified sense. The sixth sense was no longer just an extension of the five senses. It was a truly new sense. This wasn't just a metaphor for opening the third eye. At some point, Jackson, sitting on a roughly carved stone chair, noticed him. The chair was a large stone that had been crudely shaped into a seat, cold enough to be uncomfortable in the winter. But Jackson seemed unfazed. Why wouldn't he be? His training had been far more brutal and painful than this. Cold like this didn't even feel like cold to him. Jackson's eyes now turned toward Ankrit. What drives him? That lingering question still remained. But now there was a new reason for him to stay here. He's tangled. The leader had become someone who was essential for fulfilling his own goal. Ugh, you're like a damn wild cat. Why do you keep staring so hard? The barbarian lazily walked out. It was an idle challenge, but Jackson ignored him as usual. Rem's gaze turned to Ankrit. Look at this. The barbarian was surprised, something rare for him. Ragnar and Odin also reacted similarly. They had all once been absorbed in their worlds while swinging their swords. That's why they could see Ankrit's current state. He had become absorbed, trapped in his world. Was it dangerous? No. It was an opportunity. A rare chance for intense training in his lifetime. It was a chance to realize his limits and take a few steps forward. Something that would be achievable in no time. Hey, Cat. We need to control the area. You two lost one. Hey, Bear. I understand.
What the fuck are the clues?
Teresa and Sister Dunbakle should also join us. Odin spoke.
Okay, screw listening to them niggas.
From an unexpected winter
What the hell are the clues?
Ankrit's group began to form
I'm
a
not supposed to be
circle
looking
around
at
their
him.
quarters. What they did was simple. Don't come closer. Don't make a sound. It was control. They were pushing away anyone who approached. Hey, I heard you beat up a priest. I came here to talk about it. Even though the territory lord had come to visit, that person was hardly worthy of being called a priest. Rather, Lord, God? Anyway, it's not the time for that. Some couldn't understand. Some of the soldiers frowned at the behavior. Those who knew Ankrit's state simply retreated quietly. Martai's camp was made up mostly of Easterners. And Easterners were tough, sturdy, and loud.
What do these characters mean?
Split your head. Silence is important. The Lord said, go to the battlefield and shout.
Okay.
But when you come back,
Something's not
speak
right.
softly.
Says a
So
3.
please, so your mouth shut.
Okay.
Stay quiet.
Maybe I'm just
I split you.
tired. I don't know what the fuck this puzzle talking about. I have no clues on this.
And began to move as well. Impatience gnawed at her.
What about the fucking north?
To train like this. Teresa in turn found the man intriguing. I'm wondering, Teresa. After gathering her thoughts, she looked up, swinging her sword alone with a madman's grin. Is training just as enjoyable as combat? Born and raised in the world of society, Teresa was unaware of many things. Her world was narrow, and even now She didn't fully know whether her choices were right or wrong, but there was one thing she knew. I want to fight. She wanted to swing her sword at the man occupying the small training area in front of the quarters. She wanted to strike his skull with enough force to crack it. She also wanted to charge at his torso with her shield. She wanted to punch, kick, anything. She wanted to fight. A desire so intense it made her skin crawl. In this moment, right or wrong didn't matter.
I'm saying 1 and 4, 1 and 3.
Was Auden's
Which way are y'all niggas counting?
Teresa adjusted her mask and replied, I'm wondering, Teresa. I'm good at
No, I'm so serious. Are they counting left to right, or are they counting right to left? I don't.
learning to keep and value it. Because
I'm
only
stupid.
by doing so could she face the thrill of fighting that man.
I'm
Ancred wandered
stupid.
in his world, sometimes lost,
Am I stupid?
sometimes running, sometimes crawling. It didn't matter what he did. He thought about his swordsmanship. In the middle of it, a vision, like a mirage, appeared. A ferryman speaking. Now that the face was visible, it seemed there was meaning to it. Seeing it often made it that way. Crazy fool, this is not a wall I made. What was he saying? It was an illusion. A hallucination. So he ignored it. What mattered now wasn't the ferryman or today's endless
Left near
repetition.
door. On the right.
Swordsmanship.
There's
Of the
3.
5
Back to
types
bit
of
1, 2.
swordsmanship, Ancred had mastered the righteous and the middle. Yet, even with that mastery, something felt off. He had never experienced the perfect feeling of alignment. Why? It doesn't fit my body. Talent-based, and talent-built swordsmanship. It wasn't the path of the clumsy. He didn't realize this all at once. But in the realm of his instincts and intuition, he felt the way forward. Still, he kept walking, crawling and running. It was simple. Where's my path? Through the brief question, he found his direction. Thus, Ancred moved beyond the foundation
That's
of one-handed
not right.
swordsmanship, seeking a new path. It was the process of creating a new sword style. Not everything happens at once. When Ancred emerged from his immersion, he realized what he had done. Moreover, he understood that there was still more to refine and develop the work he had achieved today, turning it into something even greater.
I gots to be
My
stupid.
own swordsmanship. To become a knight, to create a new sword style. It would sound like a
1 and
senseless
3
tale
out.
to
Wait,
others,
what?
one with
Bitch,
no
what?
practical gain. But so what? When had someone's judgment ever mattered to him? Awakened from his immersion, he realized the sun was still high in the sky. It was just a moment. Ancred thought this as he looked up, only to find a dwarf girl pouting in front of him. Hey, I'm busy too.
Are you out there practicing Tai Chi with the bear?
Chapter 258. How to handle fools. Free? How about you?
Way.
Aren't you one busy guy? Ancred blinked twice while staring at the dwarf. There was a disconnect between the situation he had perceived and the present moment. Ancred first checked the condition of his body. He felt as if he had gone days without food, and his muscles trembled as though they had been overworked. His vision was also blurry. The issue with his sight stemmed from fatigue. And it wasn't just ordinary fatigue. It felt as though he had climbed a mountain
That it?
without rest or food.
Did I do that right?
His body was
Is
heavy,
that what I'm saying?
weighed down by extreme exhaustion.
Nope,
And he
I
even
failed.
felt a sense
Fuck.
of weakness, as if his entire body
Push
had
that
no
back.
strength.
Push this out.
He hadn't slept for 2 days.
Get back.
And had only swung his sword the entire time.
Yeah!
His fate was unknown. How
Thank you.
long has it been? Ancred clenched and opened his
Okay.
fists.
I don't understand how I did it, but I did it. Fuck.
He could clearly feel the toll on his body.
Hold L3.
As shameless as it
Yes,
be,
there is. Hold L3.
The dwarf girl raised her lips, speaking in
Hold L3.
Ancred didn't need
You didn't go into the secret tunnel.
behind her, Raymond Lugger.
Yep. You want to join my co-op shit? It's a fucking it's a fucking headache to figure out the shit, cause I didn't listen long enough to figure it out the fucking clues to the shit. It gives me migraines. Oh, there's a whole lot of shit back here. The hell was this? Probably nobody. Probably nobody. Yeah. I might. Until I find something I really like. Right now, I'm gonna just do my own thing. Yeah, you had to go through a secret tunnel. So after you beat the puppeteer, bust a left. I mean, you don't have to. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I should be able to join your world, can't I? Why not? I don't need to fight nothing. I'll just take you to where you need to be. Yeah. Oh, wait, not this part, not this part. You gotta have a sneak skill for this shit, but you might be able to get in there. It's supposed to be like, nah, I screenshot it. I don't know why I'm trying to, which go. Yeah, I completed it. Touch of death. Oh, I get the assassin skill. Charge toward the target from behind and strike the enemy's vital point. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yes. Isn't that the first part? Hmm. Hmm. Alright, let me get up out of here. Let me screenshot this. It look like you want to run a fade, so why you right here? How do I look at my shit? How do I bring up the map? I just want to look at the map. There Have you seen the Northern Val ruins? Ruins? Go in there. Well, talk to the dude that's on the outside of it. Then get the quest, do all that shit. Uh, you did that entire mission and it didn't show you how to crouch? Huh. Hmm. Well, alright. But you need to learn how to crouch to do the sneak attack. Just show me crouching. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that don't mean nothing. Pop. It does. That is a gauge question. I'll fucking get out of this. How the fuck do I leave this? I got into camera mode and I can't get out of camera mode. Okay. Never mind. I'm better now. Yeah, it was some shit on the ground that I touched. I see some red shit back here. Oh, is this an egg? I gotta get the run. I get the run to fade with. You can choose it. Boy. Yeah, she's darker skin. Can't really have black in there. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. I highly doubt that is you. I was about to say I highly. Is that a goat? Come here, let me talk to you. Am I in there? Solo world, solo world. You got 2 solo worlds. Yeah. Hmm. What are you talking about? I gotta get to level 3? Fuck. What does it mean I have to get to level 3? Pretty sure.
Where have you been?
If Aunt Han had heard any word from Uncle Jiang, she'd never hide it from me. But if there really is bad news, then I'll stand by her side and protect everyone. I may not be Aunt Han or Uncle Jiang's child by blood, but they've treated me like their own.
What foul banquet is this? That merchant said there be wine flowing freely. I thought he had something worth...
Don't rush, brother. I heard that woman running the First Jar banquet has no children of her own, but took in some orphans she treasures dearly. But if we snatch him, we'll get both the coins and the wine.
Oh, you craving a piece of me? Though Uncle Jiang has been gone for 3 years, Aunt Han still sets aside a jar of wine for him every year. If Aunt Han had heard any word from Uncle Jiang, she'd never hide it from me. If there really is bad news, then I'll stand by her side and protect everyone. I wonder when Uncle Jiang will return. I want to search for him in the Jianghu, but Aunt Han won't allow it. I've seen strangers in Qinghe lately. More than all previous banquets combined. We should be careful.
Damn it! All this chasing for nothing? He didn't slip away, did he? Hey! Are you blind? Out of the way!
It's a public road. I'll walk where I please.
Hey, let's not get sidetracked. Our apologies, Wanderer. We have an urgent matter to attend to. Please, forgive.
Now get out of my way!
You hold your head pretty high. For a horse thief.
Young master, nice to see you.
What are you all doing here? Oh, has anyone seen Ruby?
sure did. She even entered you into a match. That traitor set up an arena, saying that the prize was some fancy treasures for swordsmen.
Young Master is the best. Dares to eat snakes, frogs, and...
Young Master is the best! Dare to catch...
Good folk, gather round old Jean. A chance for riches is rolling in. As a gesture of the Heroes Arena with the challenge Feng Shu of Come One, Come All, the hot exclusive soap berry offer. Buy one Jean, get half a Jean free. Limited supply, get it while you can. Premium Blood Jade Stone. Blowout sale will begin in...
You there. Think you could walk past me without a word?
My apologies for disturbing you.
Too late for
May I
apologies.
ask?
Time to fight!
I, Divine Might Feng Shui, Well of Heaven, never strike the unprepared. You there. Ready your weapon and prepare for a beating. When I first joined Well of Heaven, my future junior brother hit me for this. Within a few years, I made him cry. He called me his junior brother. Martial skills are beaten to you. Today, I let that lesson sink in.
My wit! My blade! Just give up! My blade! My wind! Winding storm! Yeah. Slide around! Jesus. What's happening? My wind! My blades! Just give up! My wind! Raging snow! Yeah. Ow! Ow! Ah! Oh, that hurts a lot.
Get moving. The prize is already...
Oh, what will become of my child? If my child weren't sick, I wouldn't be out.
Xiaoshen, look up. It's me.
Young Master, you should have said...
You've got a child? You're not...
If I win, then Madame Han will... Please, don't fight with a mother and her child.
last you until you
Process.
find such a complete set. Hard to come by in the
Results.
market.
Lost my backpack and homework. Lesson learned. Never picking up goose eggs again.
Yeah. Nah, was you doing like the Quee shit, Gage? Where you fight in the arena? Was that what you talking about? Yeah, I was nowhere near that. Like I just got. Why can I not block this shit now? Am I retarded?
My child's medicine money is secured. Just be a blessing for my husband.
Who'd been cleaning his ears, spoke first. It's been 3 days. Did you have fun? Was it good? It was a question from Ragnar, who had been watching with his arms crossed. Both of them asked without even catching their breath. So Ingrid took a moment to reflect on his own condition. What had happened? The time that passed seemed like a blur, but it remained etched in his mind like a dream. Every moment, every step had been a realization. At the end of each step, Ingrid had been absorbed, immersed in the process. He had taken his goal and reached his destination. Swordsmanship.
I mean, it's just all accessories anyway.
He couldn't name it, couldn't even categorize it. The fact remained, he had created a sword destiny. Masters of swordsmanship usually spend their later years refining and mastering the techniques they've mastered. Even the greatest masters of swordsmanship would only polish their craft. But Ingrid had created something. His heart raced. Despite the exhaustion, the joy of having created something new filled him. And a smile of exhilaration spread across his face. You're smiling?
What the fuck
Have you gone a
happened?
bit mad?
I wasn't even beat by this nigga. What the fuck?
Great territory for some treatment, you know.
How the fuck y'all gonna end my fucking match and I wasn't even beat?
A finger around her ear.
No, I don't care no more.
Filled with exhilaration and joy, didn't respond.
I understand that it's 5 hits. She had me at 3. It should be my dude, then.
The dwarf was a wanderer, traveling the continent. She had seen the world for more than 10 years. This was a rare experience even for her. Regardless of her own talents and tendencies, those around her, including Ingrid, were simply madmen, going insane. The day before Ingrid woke up, the dwarf had arrived. Before then, they had been blocked from coming close. When they saw him waking up and started complaining, they brought him here. Then why not just leave the weapon behind? Even as Ingrid said that, the dwarf shook her head. I have to see the faces of those who will use the weapons I made. That's the rule I set. The dwarf made it a strict rule that whenever she passed on something she made, she had to personally hand it over and speak with the recipient. Dwarves sometimes followed their own rules obsessively, and this was one of those cases. Despite grumbling about wasting time, it was the reason she had stayed. Nevertheless, the dwarf's complaints soothed. Got it. Ignoring his fatigue, Ingrid listened intently to the dwarf's words. The rest of the unit members either didn't pay attention, didn't respond, or gave some vague advice as though imparting divine wisdom, or simply ignored him altogether. At least Frey, the big-eyed man, could hold a conversation. But he was so busy that it was hard to even see his face. In the meantime, Ingrid's attentive listening seemed to melt the dwarf's heart. When it came to attitude and mindset, Ingrid had the best on the continent. That alone made the dwarf's heart soften quickly. His personality, distant from pettiness, also played a part. Yeah, I guess it's good that you're crazy in a nice way. The dwarf then commented on Encred and handed over the weapons. The commission was for 2 swords and 2 axes. They were neatly placed on a large piece of leather. The dwarf spoke while holding one of the weapons. To be honest, refining isn't my strong suit. My talents lie elsewhere. But these are still better than anything those amateurs could make. The dwarf, whose name was unknown, spoke, and Encred acknowledged the statement. The dwarf handed over the weapon she had placed in the scabbard. She extended the hilt toward Encred, and he grabbed it. It was quite heavy. The blade wasn't long, but was thick. It was as thick as the god sword he was currently using. The length was slightly longer than a short sword. It was a sword made by modifying the shape of the blade. When he drew the sword from the scabbard,
Rare beast egg? Oh my lord.
the silver body of the blade flowed with a soft, streamlined curve. Well made, Reverend said, watching. That was the truth.
What do you? So what is he talking about?
It would be a beauty. If a man, a handsome one, it had a similar look to the sword used by the Fairy Company commander, but was distinct in its own way.
No, what's going on with Gage?
There's one good sword already,
That's
so
tough.
I figured this would be an appropriate backup, the dwarf said, gesturing to the sword. Encred had originally ordered his waist.
Yeah, I know
She
what
had
they.
made it without being asked. Her reason was spot on. Encred's original sword was indeed
Okay,
worthy
that's a
of being
full
called
break
a fine
right off the
weapon.
bat.
The fact that the dwarf could recognize that without even drawing it was impressive.
You invisible bastard.
Typical of a dwarf. The thought soon passed. Encred, without rest, stood in the training area and swung the new sword a few times. What stood out more than anything was the balance. It felt perfectly centered around a point a couple of hand lengths above the hilt. It seemed like it would be an excellent weapon even for a thrusting technique. Throw it, cut with it, block with it, strike.
What?
I made it sturdy enough for any use, the dwarf explained. The feel of cutting and throwing was exceptional. It fit perfectly in his hand. The blade's point was sharp, and the upper part of the blade
Jason
was
did so,
long enough
yeah.
to make thrusting easy. Encred tossed the sword out, letting it spin a few times before catching it. As expected, the balance was excellent. He grabbed the hilt with a snap, and lightly swung it in the air a few times. The ease with which he wielded the sword now was much smoother than before. There was a flexibility in his movements that wasn't there before. Something had changed after breaking through his own limits. Though only a few could notice it, Encred nodded in approval. It was a satisfied gesture, and the dwarf watched.
Think the child can go full invisible.
Look at that. The stone had been shaped,
I got tossed.
and refined by someone. Was this transformation possible
Yeah.
in such a short time? Not ordinary talent, huh? The dwarf mistakenly thought this, but the truth was that it was the result of countless efforts that had finally converged and broken through.
Yeah, he just did that shit. Wait, I can. Why won't he let me do mine? I want to do that shit. I got the whole ability for it.
At Ram's urging from
What's the use of learning from the bear if he won't let me do it?
she threw both at once, and Ram caught the handles of both axes with precision. It was obvious that the axes were excellent. Even Ram, that bad-tempered Ram. I'm glad I didn't make a trophy out of that dwarf.
I wasn't saying it's stupid. It completely fine with me.
It was unclear what was funny,
Makes sense.
but it definitely made her mental state seem questionable. Ram examined the two axes closely. The fire axe had a sharp spike at the end. It could also be used as a weapon where the end of the handle was used to strike. The other one was made from the glaive of a centaur leader, which had been melted down to create the axe. It's heavy, so I like it. Ram gave his honest opinion, and naturally everyone was satisfied. Lastly, Ragnar, who had seen the sword, spoke to the dwarf. Not bad.
I will beat him. I'm just running my fade with everybody else.
Northern style's wide-handed. It was a two-handed sword, and its thickness was double that of others. A large pommel and hilt. I finished it in the northern style. The dwarf,
I want to use my fucking spear.
although she wasn't a master, and refining wasn't her specialty. Perhaps it was in the nature of her.
Not loading.
She smiled with satisfaction as she watched
Slaughter.
Good. This will be the last of it. If there's a chance later, let's meet again. The dwarf spoke cheerfully and turned to leave, giving one last look at Cray.
Fucking sword I'm not gonna use.
Their weapons. He was staring blankly at the dwarf. The little human. From appearance alone, he might look like the little one, but the words suited him perfectly. What? I'll consider it when you become a gem. At those words, Grace nodded, not knowing what they meant. It seemed like a good thing because it sounded like she would see him again. And with that, the dwarf left. And once she was gone, Ingrid drew the attention of everyone. How's your body? What kind of person skips needles and just swings a sword around? Grace asked. As you can see, though his muscles were fatigued, he wasn't about to collapse. He was hungry, but it wasn't as if he'd die from starvation right away. It was known by all that Ingrid had grown stronger by seizing an opportunity. However, no one brought it up to ask about it. When he had regained his senses, only Rem and Ragnar had said anything. According to rumors, during his intense focus, Ingrid had been oblivious to his surroundings. So much so that he ended up warding off anyone who came near, alternating shifts like a sentry. When he later met Torres had said, "You seem like someone more difficult to meet than the king." Anyway, after the dwarf left, Ingrid slept for the entire day. He woke up, ate, and went back to sleep again. What he thought was a short rest turned into 3 full days, during which he continued swinging his sword, sometimes fast and strong, other times slow like a turtle. However, there was never a moment of rest. Of course, his muscles were strained, but they were honed by the isolation technique. After a long sleep, he woke up feeling refreshed. Ingrid had sorted through what he had learned during his focus while resting and eating. It wasn't until the late afternoon of the next day that he spoke. Reed, sitting in the corner of their quarters, was polishing his axe. He was getting bored of tormenting Dunbaker, and a bit of restlessness was starting to set in. "You've been waiting long." At the sound of Ingrid's voice, Ram quickly turned. He had oiled his axe, and it gleamed in his hand. It was time for their sparring. Looking at the results, Ingrid did not win. In fact, he lost more easily than before. Again, he thrust his sword toward the axe's blade and repeated the same moves. But it never worked out easily. Some attempts
Fuck this old man. Whoops.
but they were unsatisfactory.
Press triangle. I'm gonna do this shit all the time.
It didn't matter whether he won
Run that
or
shit.
lost in the sparring. What mattered most was getting the new techniques into his body. That's good. Their sparring continued.
If I had my fucking stick.
And they were drenched in sweat, finally finishing past midnight. A maid who had been heating bathwater grumbled, but when she saw Ingrid's body, she fell silent. Meanwhile, Ragnar, who had been practicing with his sword morning and evening, caught the attention of Zimmer, who requested a sparring session. Odin's prayer time had increased, and his expression seemed gentler than before. Dunbaker, watching Ingrid, began imitating the isolation techniques all around, even though no one had instructed her. There's a way that suits your body. I'll teach you a few techniques. Odin, noticing her, assisted her. Although Dunbaker looked like he was being tortured more than helped, Teresa also silently worked up a sweat, swinging her shielding sword, refining her own skill. In fact, the very sight of Ingrid immersed in his focus served as a catalyst for the others, motivating them in their training. The wild horse spent its time watching the humans, and the soldiers placed hay in the corner as food. Usually, horses would release themselves anywhere, but this one was remarkably
Don't even worry about it, bud.
digging a hole with its hooves to do its business at one side of the barracks. The stableman was astonished by this. If only we could get a saddle.
Don't.
This was the man responsible for the cavalry horses.
Don't even worry about it, bro. You good, man. I fully understand what you're trying to say. I'm sorry.
But didn't attempt to do anything about it, as the wild horse would release an aura of hostility if anyone approached carelessly. Ancred observed
Yeah,
the
there
wild
is.
horse calmly, thinking, maybe I should give it a name. Its odd behavior wasn't that unusual. There were people who acted similarly after all. Would adding one more horse really make a difference? In the Border Guard, there were even magicians who could transform from a leopard into a human. Ancred decided to put off naming the horse for now. The creature seemed too busy exploring its surroundings. Everything around it likely piqued its curiosity. It didn't, however, approach.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
Soldiers who had seen its
The way this nigga whooping my ass is pissing me off.
due to the beast's
Run that back, old nigga.
thus passed the time of intense training.
If I could use my damn umbrella or my damn stick, I'll whoop your shit.
The group began to prepare to move. Price, who had been exploring a local market and having private talks with the Lord, declared that it was time for them to leave. Let's head back. It was time to return to their territory. Ancred took the lead, and the Lord saw them off. May fortune guide them. They left in the early morning, and by the time the sun rose, the city was no longer in sight. Trace led the way with no horses, traveling by foot. Only the
Okay, he
wild
throws
horse
smoke
walked
and
alongside.
comes after me with a frog.
Ah, Snowball, Ancred remarked. The damn devils are at it again, Trace muttered. As they walked, small white flakes began to fall from the sky, landing on the ground and on their armor, slowly melting away. Luckily, the wind wasn't strong, and the snowfall wasn't heavy. The tiny white particles didn't seem to very much. The snow fell quietly, and it wasn't uncomfortable at all. As they approached the path with two mounds on either side, someone stood on their right. One of them was a familiar figure. Chapter 259. Out-of-handed fools. Oh, didn't I tell you that idiots tend to stick to it? Ren said, looking at one of the people blocking their path. The man tried to hide his appearance with a black robe, but the bulging belly and exposed lip shape made it clear who he was. Fun. The fallen priest snorted. Before they set off, Ramad mentioned that he had met that fat idiot at the market. And something about his gaze was odd. He had also said that this idiot could end up partnering with another.
No.
And so, the prediction came true. Of course, there had been some manipulation.
I'm taking every path possible, but
You can call me the Sailor Ren, he said. It was like he had tripped and fallen on his backside, with an arrow whizzing overhead. But Ren had the right to act smug, since things turned out to be as he said. Ancred called him what he wanted. Idiot, ran me blind. Did you break your hearing? I'm a Caesar now. An idiot and a Caesar are both the same thing. Did you just make that up? No. Ancred spoke with honesty and confidence, and Ram reluctantly gave up the title of Seer, muttering, let's stop this nonsense. There are many who are confused and foolish in this world, and it's the duty of our kind Lord to lead them to repentance and rebirth beside the gods. Orban recited prayers. It sounded more like he wanted to kill everyone. It almost seemed like every time he saw the fallen
you didn't actually dodge that, you old bastard, and you know that.
Ancred took a step forward. He was the representative of the group. With his sword belt in hand, resting on the pommel of his sword, he stood
Okay. Let me just get my ass beat for 30 seconds.
But those who had experienced his sword had recognized him as a well-prepared posture. Behind the belated fallen priest, a man stepped forward and asked,
Come on, you old bastard, it's 3-3. Run this fucking fade.
Clyde wanted to ask the last. Do you have any interest in joining the Black Sword? Tempting offer, Miss Sylvie? You're not getting in fall for that. Gray snorted and turned as he watched the man closer. The man, taller than
So tired of hearing be calm.
forward as well, showing that he was the man talking. He had a ferocious look in his eyes. He held a long sword, his gaze sharp, and his attitude seemed somewhat
I don't want to be calm no more. Run my fucking fade, you old nasty bastard.
Trace figured out the man's identity just by his appearance. Calculated blade. Ancred too had keen
No.
ears and caught the words.
When I learn more moves, I'm coming back and I'm gonna run straight through this shit, no problem.
His arms hung loosely, his legs slightly spread, and his eyes focused on his own feet and legs. He suddenly adjusted his posture as if preparing to draw his weapon. This man knew how to fight and was skilled. That was Incrid's judgment.
It's gonna be red or yellow. Okay. Oh, yep.
Monotone, sounding rather rough. I didn't realize you were so corruptible to take a job with a black sword. Praise God. It wasn't a particularly sharp insult, but the mercenary frowned. Yes, then, you have a sharp tongue, and you seem to have a talent for selling your body to a control form. The mercenary's call of fear with a large sword was likely someone who could be classified as a strong warrior of the noble.
Am I not pressing the button? Am I retarded?
Known for always being well prepared in battle. Praise knew the man's reputation for preparedness. Praise prodded the mercenary, hoping for a reaction. He knew that someone who got work.
I'm pressing R1. I'm just getting my head beat.
It was a simple strategy. I told you. Those idiots probably don't have a single thought in their hearts.
You can hold it sometimes.
Crace hoped that the mercenary would get agitated and charge at them, but contrary to his expectations, the mercenary merely raised his left hand in preparation. And then, heads began to appear over the hills on both sides. These were soldiers who had been lying in ambush for the past 2 days. Some of them were from the Black Sword, and the rest were mercenaries from the Calculated Blades group. The mercenary named Calculated Blade had heard enough about his opponents. He had heard about the incident with the Jedi, and he thought he was far superior to idiots like him. He didn't understand why someone would rely on something like a scroll in a fight. Such a foolish thing. Unless you were a knight, you wouldn't survive the countless arrows that rained down. That's why he had prepared for the archers. The hills were steep, and among them, there were probably a few who could scale them. To prevent that, he had positioned 2 squads of heavily armored men at the base of the hill. To capture just 10 or so people, they had mobilized over 70 soldiers. Was that all? Including himself, Calculated Blade's group of elite mercenaries provided solid backup. It had been difficult to get this far without getting caught. But the real battle would be easier. That was preparation. Calculated Blade spoke with a raised hand. Those who don't even realize the value of their lives. How long would they last against the Black Blade? Mercenaries had to be sharp and quick-witted if they wanted to survive the war. He was one of those types. And Craig, keeping his head out from behind Incrid, spoke up. Damon, I was wondering if a bunch of wizards were going to show up. But it's not as impressive as I thought. Guess they won't amount to much after all. Reyes made a circle with his thumb and index fingers as he spoke. Incrid couldn't help but feel a bit proud of Craig for using the right tactics to get under the enemy's skin. I'm gonna peel that bastard's skin off myself. The Calculated Blade muttered. Cress pretended to be scared, his eyes widening, and stuck his tongue out in response. Do it if you can. Sometimes, childishness could be a lethal move. This was one of those times. That son of a bitch. Crace had definitely managed to rattle the enemy commander. Not bad. It was a clever little trick. Incrid admired it. Even while Crace schemed, he kept his mind active. Spells were always unpredictable, and it was important to be cautious. Well, even if they're the Black Blade, there's no way they have dozens of others with them. When you saw someone using scrolls before, it naturally sparked an unsettling thought. However, Crace thought the enemy's forces seemed too weak. They had low quality, and the numbers were few. Why? The question came, and the answer arrived almost immediately. They still don't know our real strength. Incrid and all the members of their unit had fought so well that rumors had spread about them. They had shown their worth on the battlefield, and had even destroyed it all. But what if those rumors spread? rumors by nature grew and were exaggerated. And foolish people who thought they were clever would use the rumors to form their strategies. If it were Cray, he would be checking the truth of these rumors frantically as they spread. The Black Blade's position was misunderstood. When they tried to take control of the streets and border guard, the Gilpin Guild had resisted. They couldn't just plant spies inside the castle either, as Marcus was particularly skilled in that area. Contrary to the rumors about him being a warmonger, he had managed to tighten the internal security thoroughly. Since his arrival, there had been rules among merchants that the border guards took their duties even more seriously, and they had become even stricter. Of course, that too was a misunderstanding. It was just that under Enfield harsh training, those who found it difficult were simply more dedicated to their duties, tried to stay on patrol a bit longer, or guard the gates more vigilantly. Anyway, the Black Blade didn't do this. Not only had they misjudged the abilities of Enfield and the others, but they had no idea about Cray. On the other hand, Cray understood the enemy's foolishness, and in some ways even sympathized with it. Well, it's not like there are any night-level monsters running around here. Not even a Night Order. Lack of information had been something Marcus had exploited well on the battlefield. Furthermore, there would always be those who doubted Inquid's abilities out. Most importantly, the abilities of the unit members wouldn't even be known by them. One strong individual at the Squire Corps, a group of archers, and a bunch of mercenaries who knew how to fight. Even if they weren't knighted, they were strong enough to be considered elites. So the enemy wasn't necessarily weak. It was just that the Black Blade didn't know about them. Maybe I overdid the preparation. Grice thought, snapping his fingers. Naturally, nothing
Okay,
happened.
well, I'm starting to understand what the fuck I need to do.
What? Ragnar, who had been watching from the side, asked. Should we send it to the city?
I gotta be able to attack.
Grice cleared his throat and responded. Timing's a bit off. Craze had no shame. It happens. So he spoke confidently. And just after those words, a commotion erupted at the top of the hill. Shit. What is it? It's an ambush. The cry of the enemy ambushes rang out. Some of the archers turned around quickly. It was already too late for a coordinated fire from above. Some of the armed troops near the archers immediately turned around and charged at the ones who were behind them. How dare you! One of the enemy soldiers bravely stepped forward, swinging the sword. He was a mercenary wielding a Faust's sword. Gripping the sword with both hands,
Can I not restart this shit?
his technique wasn't bad. The person opposite him was unarmed. As the sword came toward him, he ran forward, meeting the strike head-on, and goes straight to his opponent's arms. A dull sound followed. But the mercenary wielding bastard sword collapsed forward, and the man in his arms pushed him away and came out. Torres wiped the blood from his jacket onto the dead man's arm. He wore thin leather armor over his gambeson, with the insignia of the Border Defense Unit.
I'm getting tired. Why?
On the opposite side, a man was quickly closing the distance, darting into the enemy ranks with a swift pace. He drew his sword in a flash, and his speed was high. His steps and his strike were so fast that by the time anyone saw it, a hole had already been pierced through one enemy
Bro, I'm Jim.
crack.
Yeah, I'm tired. Okay.
Blood poured from his fingers, with his throat pierced. Survival was impossible. Zimmer had displayed his skills, and then he stopped. Foolish bandits, he muttered, his face clearly visible from the small hill. Well,
Probably. This most definitely not my man.
Craig's murdered smart. It was impressive for
I got my babies.
to gather such a force of
One of which is a giant umbrella
demonstration of the Black Blade remained.
and a fucking stick
And it wasn't just any group.
with a sharp tip.
Squire-level mercenary. That was no small feat.
This ain't me.
So there was
I'm
a
tired.
gap between true knights and squires.
I might be too tired to actually face this nigga.
How many people like that? In the northern regions, they were probably rare enough to count on one hand. However, they had simply underestimated their opponents. After all, it was hard to believe something.
This nigga pissed me off so much, I'm finna...
That was what Cray thought. A bit of a shame.
No what?
Christ ignored
Fuck it.
He was always imagining the worst and preparing for it accordingly. That was what he had prepared for. Soon the border defense and the Martai forces began occupying the area near where the ambush had been set. The archers from the Black Blade, who had been caught off guard, fell into a state of panic. Shit, they're attacking from behind. What about the front? Do we have an escape route? None. Look, from the very start, everything had been predicted and planned. Torres, who had gotten behind the archers, couldn't help but admire Cray's mind. That big-eyed bastard was no joke. The preparations of the Black Blade on the hills had come to an end. The ones who had taken the hill were the finest of the fine. The border massacre specialists, hidden by the presence of Ingrid. The face of the calculated blade remained expressionless. In contrast, the mercenaries who had been holding out at the back began showing visible signs of hells broken loose. One person ran out, showing anxiety. Oh shit, I'll kill them all and it'll be over. Another spoke with defiance. Shouldn't we retreat? Someone else suggested a more practical option. Well, who's the idiot now? And the prepared blade's brow furrowed deeply. It would have been better to solve this report from the start. A large man stepped forward beside the calculated blade, looking at the group behind him. There were about 20 soldiers, none of them weaklings by any means, at least compared to regular soldiers. Only the company weren't coming to take it. I'll kill them all. The heavy footsteps of the one who charged forward, wielding a massive flail in both hands, were quite intimidating. If they won the battle before the skirmish on the hill even began, it was a super. Despite his delicate, the mercenary was sharp. After wandering the battlefield for so long, he must have developed a natural sense.
Circle.
I think that's the right call too. She had an abnormally long tongue, almost reaching her chin, and her face was similar to hers.
Press circle. DeMonte, a whole lot of circle, my boy.
Reminiscent of a whistleback. Rem growled as they approached. I'll go first. Just try to step forward and I'll chop your head off with my axe. Encred almost stepped forward, but told Rem to go ahead, shifting his perceptions, evolving his instincts beyond the usual senses. With all that power, Encred momentarily was unsure if he should act. In that moment, he predicted the outcome. None of those who charged forward would be able to handle Rem's
it kicked. Fuck this.
260. How to handle fools. 5. It was a conversation
What the fuck is this?
they had before leaving Marta. You tricked them and beat them. When it came to dealing with fools, whether it was the Black Blades or the priest, Cray had a firm belief. Encred agreed. Let's do that. I, with an energetic response, wide eyes had prepared a great deal.
Motherfucking mob.
This was the result. Quickly kill them all. The rotund priest, who had secretly delivered information about Encred's group, shouted, "Where did that priest get his information about Encred's group?" It was really stupid. The priest had trusted a cunning brat who sold out the information for just a few coins. Too easily. Far too easily. After that, Craze anticipated the Black Blade's assault. Specifically, he scouted the best locations for ambushes and sneak attacks along their path, choosing them in advance. He also predicted overcast days by simply observing the sky. Snow would be ideal, but a heavily clouded day would suffice. Through several thoughts and adjustments, Craze ensured the Black Blades would find the conditions favorable for an ambush. These people really do seem stupid. Christ doubted if the Black Blades were truly a renowned bandit group. Do such people resort to these tactics? Sending a few mercenaries and hoping this group dies? Of course, this stemmed from a lack of information. No one from the ones already sent had survived to report anything. Relying solely on rumors to gauge Encred's party's strength was a challenge. especially when it came to understanding the capabilities of those under his command. Rem leaped forward with a light push off the ground, disappearing from Kray's sight. Boom! The ground he had kicked tore apart with a thunderous sound. At the same time, a streak was left behind. And that streak sliced through the neck of the man wielding the mace. God damn, this thing cuts beautifully. Rem's voice followed soon after. Though Krays hadn't fully caught Rem's movements, he could deduce everything from the results. His sharp mind made that possible. The mace was swung downward, and before it could fully descend, the axe cleaved the neck. Rem's hands and feet were far faster than the mace's swing, making such a result inevitable. The reason Rem remarked on the sharpness of the axe was that it had split through the enemy mercenary's face-covering helmet with ease. Crimson blood sprayed across the thinly spread snow beneath the mercenary's body. The white snow melted into the vibrant red. Above it, new snowflakes began to fall. Ankrid scanned the battlefield. Krays deduced the process from the outcome, but Ankrid saw everything clearly. Don't surrender! Rem charged ahead with excitement, and alongside him, Dunbakel and Teresa also advanced. One of the mercenaries, seemingly familiar with Dunbakel, greeted her with angry words. You damn mutt! Traitor! He lunged at Dunbakel with a long spear. His skills weren't bad. At least he surpassed Dunbakel's previous self.
I hope I did
But
that.
that was all. Dunbakel was no longer the foolish beast woman she once was. Her body seemed to ripple, appearing to multiply into 3 faint images.
Oh, am I not friendly with this nigga? How the fuck am I not?
Athletic ability.
You know what? I'm not gonna sit there and talk to that nigga for 7 hours.
Simultaneously, her scimitar was drawn,
Yeah.
slicing through the falling snow and air to strike her opponent's head. To Ankrid's
Yeah, I
sensitive
know.
perception,
I will at some
every
point.
moment unfolded as
But
though
right now,
time had slowed down.
I started it. I thought I finished it,
Scimitar shattered
and I didn't.
skull and withdrew. Sorry, I didn't catch that. What did you say? Only after killing her opponent did Dunbakel respond. She's becoming more like Rem, Ankrid thought, though he chose not to interfere. After all, she was finding her own path, no matter how it looked. It wasn't his place to criticize. As he stood with arms crossed, more mercenaries charged, and Teresa intercepted 2 of them. Shit! Where the hell did this monster come from? One of the mercenaries screamed. It was the tall, lanky female mercenary who had been throwing daggers. Teresa blocked all the daggers with her shield. One dagger, enchanted or otherwise, changed direction midair, but Teresa deflected it with her shoulder guard by twisting her body. Using the armor on her body as a defensive tool was Teresa's specialty. Adding to that, she wielded her shield to pressure opponents and a thick-bladed sword to crush them to death. And that's exactly what she did. Ah! When she struck the female mercenary's head with the flat of her blade, the skull fractured inside her helmet. Brain matter and blood spilled out. A crushed eye socket burst, leaking a clear fluid mixed with blood. I'm Teresa the Wanderer. If you want to die, come at me. She spoke. With just those few words, some enemies froze in place. No matter how experienced, fear in the face of overwhelming violence was a natural reaction. The mercenaries fell quickly. Above, the ambush should have been starting, but those stationed on the hill saw their leaders being annihilated. Naturally, their morale plummeted.
Not too late, not too early.
There's a labor shortage in the domain these days. Prove your identity, work diligently, and you'll be reinstated as Tars attempted to cope. After all, they were mercenaries motivated. Since they planned to clear out monsters and beasts anyway, using these captives as cannon fodder would be an advantage. They could sift through and select only the competent ones to accept. His offer was calculated. Ice, surrender. One soldier lowered his longbow and spoke. In the end, none of the soldiers stationed on the hill fired a single arrow. Watching the mercenaries die one by one, the rotund priest turned and fled. He moved with desperation. running faster than anyone could imagine for a man of his size. A thick forearm blocked the way. Ah. Startled, the priest fell on his backside. The jolt
I mean, I'm pretty sure they didn't give a
Propping
damn.
himself up on the dirt, he craned his neck upward. What he saw was a soldier with the bulk of a bear. This bastard. Although Zimmer had been accused of hitting him, the priest had his own men within the territory. They had told him the
So I went from getting my ass beat by an old man to finding some tunnel shit underneath where the old man was to getting my ass beat by some more shit.
leaving him unable to voice even the slightest.
Look at this. This is gonna be a fair amount for this game, I see.
Was unbearable. Later, those he thought were his allies egged him on. Of course, all of it was Krace's doing.
If I'm gonna get work
Being
today.
a contemptible wretch beyond redemption, Krace had hired a few scoundrels who thrived on scraps from his table.
Yeah.
It was through such machinations that the corpulent priest had been manipulated to arrive at this
Welcome,
point.
Devontae.
Why? The reason was simple. Eliminating potential threats was far better than letting them linger. The priest's level of corruption wasn't the issue. His status as a priest was. The best solution was to kill him and bury the evidence. That's why they had let him
Out here getting done worse than fucking Arkham Knight villains. I'm sick of this shit.
Is to ignore them. The next best, bury them. From the moment Auden had slapped him, Krace had envisioned the current outcome. After all, wasn't the Black Blade and a greedy priest of
Make it your wish.
hell? Things had gone even smoother than expected, though. The opponent had been too foolish. The Lord of Radiance commands us to reveal and reveal. Have you done so? Auden questioned, his voice calm but heavy. The Rotan priest stammered, trembling with fear. Of course, I have. His voice quivered, and his tongue stumbled over the words. You are supposed to illuminate the world, not just gather Krona. Auden muttered quietly. The priest tried to protest, claiming he had always aided the unfortunate and cared for orphaned children in the temple. But Auden already knew the truth, thanks to Krace. The priest had not only hoarded wealth, but had also defiled women. It was said he had taken some of the orphaned girls as his concubines. Smack. Gut. Auden raised his hand and brought it down hard on the priest's crown. The blow caused the priest's eyes and tongue to bulge forward.
That works.
Blood gushed from every orifice, including his ears. Auden despised those who lose their faith as they died.
He does.
There had been times in the past when his own doubts had stopped him from delivering justice. He had turned away from such individuals before. No more. Never again. Someone by his side will retain their own limits. Auden could no longer turn away from truth, life, conviction, faith, and belief. I will live, Father. I will not forsake the life blessed to him by God. By divine permission, he will strike down his enemies and live. And in so doing, he would also punish those who scattered his faith. It would not be an easy task. If he faltered, it could simply result in a meaningless death. He wouldn't die so easily. Every day was a lesson. Auden learned not only from teaching, but also from Crid and Krace. By the light you've shown me, I too will shine brightly. Auden prayed silently, not to God, but to his commander, praying to a human rather than a beast of God. Yet strangely natural, Encred, observing from the sidewalls, released a sigh. Lunatics. He muttered a curse inwardly. Shouldn't they at least leave an opponent for him to deal with? Why were they so excited? Even Auden had rushed forward, smashing the priest's head, and then turned to look at him. In Auden's eyes burned a fervent longing. A gaze filled with fiery intensity. A bared fist of fire. Unable to grasp the full meaning from afar, Encred misinterpreted. Then, of course, was not paging. Even Ragnar, who usually stood back and watched, didn't hold out. He suddenly stepped forward and swung his blade. The strike was unlike anything before. A diagonal slash from above, coming downward. a strike reminiscent of an eagle diving toward its prey. Naturally, it was faster than an eagle, yet it evoked the same imagery. As the blade completed its descent, it immediately rose to the hill. The foe, preparing his own sword, was reduced to 3 pieces scattered on the ground. After the swing, Ragnar looked at his blade with rare admiration. Honed, found. The weapon seemed to satisfy him more than he had
Woke up in
anticipated.
a new Bugatti.
It was, after all, a masterpiece crafted by dwarves. Encred also wanted to test
Oh,
his
you
newly
beautiful.
developed swordsmanship in battle, and wield the blade he received from the dwarves.
So I'm the only one left.
It's over already. Kreis's words, laced with disappointment, summed it up. It had ended almost instantly. Rem had cleaved through 5 or 6 opponents in a flash, not even giving his flaming axe a chance to ignite. The disparity between the two groups was glaring. Kreis, prone to overestimating dangers, had prepared excessively. Even if there had been archers, the outcome of this battle was predetermined. In the midst of the chaos, Jackson had also captured a mercenary, a handsome young man at that. The man, who turned out to be a known figure, begged as blood poured from a wound in his thigh. "Spare me, and I'll do anything." Whatever proposal Jackson had made, the man's desperate plea followed. "This one's mine." Jackson rarely made requests. Encred owed him plenty. "Take him." Encred didn't question or probe further. Frankly, no one cared. Dunbakel felt the changes in her abilities clearly. Teresa, on the other hand. "Let's have a match when we return." She spoke with uncharacteristic fervor. Her eyes ablaze as she looked at Encred. Her blood was boiling. Gladly. It was a well-considered...
You ever choose the wrong wardrobe by mistake?
Nodded, surveying the group as he thought to himself. Lunatics.
Yeah, my stupid tail.
Those who had left him nothing to fight. Blackblade's first ambush and strike were
I did it. Oof.
Crate blamed it all on them. Too considerate. Of course, from now on, such kindness would be a distant memory. When even one of their tactics landed, someone's life would inevitably be at risk. As ominous scenarios played out in his mind, Kreis devised corresponding countermeasures. What choice did he have? Following a man like Encred into the battlefield came with unavoidable complications. At the same time, Kreis resolved to himself. "I won't allow any losses." His goal remained the
We
same.
get to the east.
The noble women's salon. Even a short-term contract with Encred would be enough if he could get him to visit the salon. To make him host. The thought alone thrilled him. The group busied themselves cleaning up the aftermath of the battle. Torres and Zimmer, who had previously greeted them, returned to exchange farewells. "Well done." Encred spoke, and Torres nodded in acknowledgement. Safe travels. The rain had stopped, and the group walked on briskly. When they reached the border guard post, the wild horse nudged Encred's shoulder. "What is it?" Just let you roam around a bit." "Fine, do as you please. It's dangerous to enter the territory on your own, so come back when I call you. Go. Explore and have fun," Encred muttered to the horse as if speaking to himself.
What, did I steal another horse? I stole another horse.
"Definitely going to transform into a person. Let's have Esther checked." No one responded. After entering the border guard's territory, the group headed straight for the barracks. It was already evening. Rather than spending another night camping, they decided to walk a little longer and rest inside. It was late when they arrived. Predictably, there was no trouble at the castle gates. "You've arrived." A soldier who had grown familiar with their faces during training opened the side gate. Although they were glad to see Encred, their expressions weren't entirely cheerful. They knew training would resume, and their faces darkened. "I trust you haven't been slacking. I'll check tomorrow morning." Encred, ever dutiful to his role within the unit, hadn't forgotten his obligations as the training officer. "Yes, sir." The soldier was sure to spread the joyous news to everyone. The trembling of his cheeks betrayed how overwhelming this joy was. "I'm excited." exhausted. Let's rest, Kreis exclaimed as he headed toward the barracks. Meanwhile, Teresa's fiery gaze hadn't left Encrid. Want to spar before we wash up? Encrid asked. Teresa nodded eagerly. The two engaged in a duel, and though Teresa lost, she was satisfied. Fighting someone like him made her feel it was worth following him. Battling him brought a strange sense of fulfillment she couldn't quite explain. After delivering a brief report to the battalion commander, Encrid spent the night with Esther curled up in his arms. The leopard, sometimes human, had little to say, choosing instead to sleep soundly. Let's begin training. The day started with his duties as the training officer. It was after lunch when a soldier approached him. Someone named Gilpin is here to see you. He seems to be in a hurry. Encrid tilted his head. It wasn't often that Gilpin would come looking for him at this hour, but as soon as he heard the name, a past incident came to mind. Specifically, the time when a certain frog had visited. When Encrid went to meet this friend named Gilpin, he spotted the ferry company commander standing next to him. "Where are you going, fiancé? No greetings for me?" The commander teased. Chapter 261. Striking softly doesn't turn a blade into cotton. Did you enjoy your time as a recruitment officer? Found anyone promising? At the familiar question from his old friend, the rapier swordsman nodded. There was. Really? It wasn't like him to make such a comment lightly. The last person this friend had ever described as promising had been an exceptional talent, even among prodigies. In an empire teeming with geniuses, those who received this man's recognition were rare indeed. And now he spoke so casually. How could that not spark interest? Hadn't he said he'd been wandering the kingdom's territories on the continent? For the man before him, this recruitment assignment had been a sort
We do
of
not.
vacation. Given his workaholic tendencies,
We have no
it was a
dedicated
rare
healer.
break from his usual
I will be a healer.
Yet for him to say something like this during a so-called vacation was highly unusual and unexpected. It was not the sort of response one would expect to a casual jest. Inside the keep of the Empire's border territory, the two sat in a small room. A round table and a few chairs, lined with woolen cushions, were all at hand. One was the lord of the territory, the other a training officer just returned from his leave. The rapier swordsman recounted what he had seen and felt, speaking plainly. Even as he described the facts calmly, there was a spark of heat in his eyes. The Lord thought it resembled a quiet but impassioned speech. So you're saying this talented guy of yours repelled pressure that should have overwhelmed him? The rapier swordsman relayed only the facts, leaving out how shocked he'd been, how he'd stood in the rain for half a day, murmuring. A curious one indeed. The commander of the border keep stroked his chin and downed the whiskey before him. It was a potent liquor called Farmer's Tears. The liquid burned its way down his throat, asserting its presence, and warmed his stomach as it settled. Is he one of those capable frogs? Capable frogs? We're slang for frogs. I'm referring to those who could survive on their own while fulfilling their roles. It was a way of gauging someone's competence. The rapier swordsman twirled his glass in his hand, dismissing the notion without a second thought. Not even close. Was he saying this person wasn't at a frog's level? Or that a frog couldn't compare to him? Naturally, it was the latter. The Lord understood that much. Was his mastery of will special? Yes. But there was more to it. Peculiarities that couldn't be captured in mere words. Even his swordsmanship. It had progressed absurdly, changed, grown, evolved, and all in an instant, witnessed with his own eyes. If someone had told him about it, he wouldn't have believed it, even under threat of death. It's easier to think I was duped by some magic. As for frogs wandering the fringes of the Empire, how many exchanges could they last? They wouldn't stand a chance. That was the level Encrid had reached. The rapier swordsman held his glass up to the lamplight. The amber liquid within.
Oh yeah, I can set fire to shit. Oh, that's cold. I didn't know I could do that.
It symbolized
They're just holding square.
required to produce it. For ordinary soldiers, squires, and junior knights, such effort was necessary. Time, effort, tempering. As a training officer, he could vividly picture that process, as clear as if it were before his eyes. He was known among frogs as a talent evaluator, renowned for his discerning eye, and with that same eye he looked at Encred. Effort was evident, but it defied logic. Time was supposed to be equal for everyone. Thus, talent was the deciding factor. Given the same day and the same training, it was only right to foster the one with greater talent. So, what was this man in Perid? He was something beyond common sense, a being of explosive, inexplicable talent. This was his conclusion. If not that, then perhaps he entered another world where he trained for years, by repeating the same day, over and over, only to return.
Fucked up.
It was such an absurd thought, dismissed as nonsense. It was easy to say, repeat a single day to hone your skills. Spoken aloud, it seemed simple, almost effortless. But who could endure such a process? He had seen countless talents and helped shape them. No one, he thought, could withstand such a relentless cycle. And if someone could, if such a person existed, whether it was his empire or elsewhere, he would want to nurture such resolve and watch it blossom. Such a talent was worthy of his eye. Once, in an academic paper written within the Empire, he had posed the question, what is the greatest talent? The liquor in his swirling glass continued to catch the lamplight, shimmering faintly. As he emptied the glass into his mouth, he clarified his thoughts. The greatest talent is the ability to remain unbroken, to always look forward no matter the circumstances. An unyielding spirit, that was his conclusion. Of course, without physical aptitude to support it, such a spirit would simply burn out. How many such individuals had he tried to train before? Judging their disposition and nature, he had attempted to force talent upon them. Such attempts were countless. All of them were vain. For a talent to explode into growth, whether through the intervention of a demon's curse or a goddess fortune, it required some element of the mystical. If such a person existed, one who could endure something as torturous as that, whether by innate or acquired willpower, and ascend to the rank of a knight, it would be the birth of a monster. The rapier swordsman pictured a face in his mind as this thought crossed his mind. Black hair, blue eyes, a rare appearance, and one not easily forgotten. "I'm looking for someone," said Encred, responding to the fairy person's command. Beside him, Gilpin stood, sweating profusely, his face drenched. Though clearly nervous, Gilpin didn't interrupt, instead casting glances between Encred and the fairy commander. "I see. The fairy comes to me command and standing firm and prepared to follow Encred anywhere. Should Encred refuse? There was no need for that, so he let it be." Encred turned to Gilpin. Wearing a coif made of fur, Gilpin was soaked in sweat. His flushed face and heaving chest attested to the effort it had taken to get there. "Ah, please help us," Gilpin said, his words freezing. At that moment, Encred's mind drifted unexpectedly to the name of the frog he had encountered at the border. He hadn't forgotten that. The frog had promised to return, and frogs Maylon. Thoughts bypassed his brain.
Nah, come on now.
Gilpin's eyes widened in shock, his pupils dilated. He was clearly astonished. "How did you know?" "The guild master has been captured. Again." The way he emphasized again was telling. Officially, the bald man in the place before him was the guild master of the Gilpin Guild. But to its members, Craig was their true leader. The Gilpin Guild had begun as a gang of illiterate thugs, and a criminal organization. Though its nature had shifted somewhat over time, its original character hadn't completely disappeared. To them, the leader was the guildmaster. In this case, Craig. And above that guildmaster stood Incrid. When it's dangerous, just run and call for him. Say, Commander Incrid. Don't forget the name. If you meet him in the market, lower your gaze and move. And if you see a gray hair, if you lock eyes with him, run. Christ had emphasized this so thoroughly that every member of the Gilpin Guild had Incrid's name in face. That included Rem and others as well. They had repeatedly been told to avoid provoking him at all costs. And Gilpin had witnessed Incrid in action.
I don't want to learn the sword.
For him to seek Incrid.
Fuck.
Let's go. Incrid spoke and began walking without hesitation, wearing armor, carrying weapons. He told part of training. That had been advice he received during his first days as a mercenary. Incrid had taken it to heart. Because he had been inexperienced with weapons, he had followed that advice diligently. Even now, it remained a habit. He was dressed in a coat of beast hide under armor and bandages wrapped around his body. On his left hip hung the cursed sword Tutor, and on his right, a gladius gifted by a dwarf. A knife sheath strapped to his chest carried 5 throwing knives, unable to procure a whistlejack. Its specialized sheath was left in his quarters. Add a gambeson, chainmail, and helmet to this, and he would have been fully equipped. Even so, he was adequately prepared as he was. Ah, you heading out? The soldier guarding the barracks asked. Incrid replied, walking at a steady pace. Just stepping out for a stroll. So am I?
Okay. Fuck it. End this shit.
With a straight face, the fairy added his characteristically dry joke. Spending time together builds bonds, or so I've heard. Didn't you know?
When is back?
Is that so? Some washerwoman told me while drawing bathwater. Seemed like sound advice. So I think we should spend more time together. A joke at a time like this? Incrid replied casually. If you're suggesting we train together, that's fine. If it were an ordinary woman, she might have kicked him in the shins. Suggesting training when asked to spend time together. Not a moon, a sunset, or whispered words of affection. But Shinar was neither an ordinary woman, nor even he. As they walked, the fairy spoke. That wouldn't be bad, but what about visiting the market? The border guard market has some intriguing new arrivals lately, though it's also brought its share of problems. It hadn't been even a month since they'd left their territory. How much trouble could arise in that short time? Thinking about it, Incrid and the fairy continued walking, while Gilpin trailed behind, wondering, what useless nonsense are these two talking about? What were they planning to do about the frog? Even as such thoughts filled his mind, he struggled to keep up with their pace, nearly jogging while they seemed to walk effortlessly. Why are they so fast when they're just walking? Just as Gilpin hurried to catch up. You said it was a frog, Incrid asked. Ah, yes, that guy from last time. Ah, the one with the white scar on his neck, Gilpin replied, panting heavily. He raised his hand to touch the skin on the right side of his neck. It was the same frog who had come to collect payment from the Gilpin Guild. Incrid hadn't forgotten the name. Back then, they had barely managed to drive him away. And now, there, Gilpin pointed. The situation was almost comical. The same place, the same circumstances. Could Krayt be called an idiot for getting caught again? Incrid instinctively understood. Inside the mansion, past the corridor, there was a single door blocking the way.
I'm usually not one to give up, but I give up. I'll come back face that nigga later. I think I'm genuinely just too tired. That old bastard. I done whoop boss's ass faster than this nigga. I'm sick of this shit.
How have you been? It was a greeting. Sitting inside the hall on a chair with Krays beside him.
I'm gonna be back. It's cool.
Fuck.
I just feel like some shit.
Happy to see
Yeah.
me after all this
For
time.
like some honest, what the
Malon
fuck is
greeted
this?
him
What
in
am I
turn,
wearing? What
though
the
his
hell is
tone
this?
lacked the warmth of Encred's. Encred, for his part, was eager to showcase the difference between them, especially after their previous fight.
Need a fade.
And there was no reason
Run
to
so
prolong the encounter.
doggone
As
maliciously
soon
it
as
hurts.
Malon opened his mouth, Encred had already launched forward. The sound of his foot
Depressingly.
slamming against the ground echoed behind him. Despite Encred's terrifying speed, Malon didn't flinch.
For
This
a
guy
minute.
excelled at creating unpredictability and chaos in battle. He'd experienced that firsthand before. Before even finishing his sentence, Malon had drawn his loop sword, hooking his hand through the ring and swinging its thick blade down.
Child, what more do you want?
The strength of one last device.
Just go. Oh shit, I actually gotta go to sleep. Fuck.
If they hear it, you'll end up as the midnight meal of a ghoul that suddenly attacks.
Actually, this is the first time I stayed up this long. No wonder I'm fucking tired and delusional.
In the previous Centaur colony, you were charging into
I ain't stayed up this while for a minute.
Oh, Guang.
There are so many people. Okay.
Uncle Jiang left 3 years ago, and now I'm almost as tall as he was. Next time we meet, he won't be able to knock.
Are you heading back to Heaven's Pier now? Then don't forget to tell my dad I'm going. What a mighty horse! I know one too. A big.
Young master, did you actually sneak out to...
No, it's just been years, but please.
Master Zhang's been gone these 3 years without a word. The Zhonghu is... Here's Master Zhang's book back. You go have a stroll. I'm going to check on my goods.
Yeah, I now have online mode. Shit ain't ever happened, boy. Hmm. I'm still making my way through menus to this day. Through the menus to this day. The good thing is, you don't have to.
got quite a few outsiders lately. What that old man said about fortune and misfortune does make you wonder.
Hey, look! Another one on the line.
I was about to fucking select like